that's my daily fantasy handle. Hopefully we'll see that somewhere lurking near the top of one of the contests going down tonight on Fanduel, on DraftKings, playing both tonight. Along with me, you got Keith Eister. Keith, you kind of fluctuate back and forth. Sometimes you're on Crunch Time. Sometimes you're on the pre-show. I don't know, the appetizer show. What do we call this? GrindersLive. That's what we call it. Keith, what's going on? We just have breaking news. We'll get to it in a second. Breaking news on Twitter. Fellow contributor at Rotogrinders, Britt Devine, had a child today. We want to congratulate him, and we're going to discuss that for a second. Him and his, hopefully, a mother and child are all feeling well. But yeah, Keith, how are things in your world? I think not as exciting as having a child, I presume, but something's got to be going on, right?
Definitely not as exciting as having a child. Congrats to Britt. Like you said, hope everybody's doing well. Good to see that he got that. I know he was worried about that. I was on the Sunday show with him, and he was a little concerned that he might have to break. Like we had a morning slate and an evening slate. Concerned that he might get interrupted between the two slates and might have to jet out there and find a replacement. So I knew it was imminent. Good to see that is over with, and hope everybody's doing well.
Cutting it close, by the way. He's working down to the wire. He couldn't get a replacement. He's really committed to the job, apparently. We got also along with us the eater of cereal, the chopper of heads, the two-time millionaire winner. It's Head Chopper. And I asked you pre-show, we know Britt, we know what he likes, we know where he always kind of wanders to. I guess his wife is a big fan of the Disney Corporation, and therefore he has to be by association. So I asked you pre-show, what do you think Britt named his child? I believe it's a male child. I'm fairly certain.
That's a big thing. That's a big. See, this is all news to me. When you said it, I was legit shocked because I have not heard this information. I didn't hear anything about expecting a child or any of that. Maybe I might have him muted on Twitter. I don't even know, but I don't know anything about it. So there was
not legit, the best follow.
Legit shock, man. Legit shock. So yeah, I don't know. Do we know if it's a boy or a girl for sure before I start guessing names?
I mean, it looks like yeah. I mean, well, based upon I don't want to make any presumptions, but I would say it's a male child.
Okay. Number one guess on the name has got to be Mickey, right?
Yeah, I mean you'd think so, but it's not.
It's not. Okay. Let me. I got two more guesses here.
Yeah, this is Family Feud.
All right, I'm going Jack for Jack Sparrow.
Whoa, that is a terrible guess. You're overthinking it. Jack Sparrow.
He's a Disney guy. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp's been in the news lately. I'm thinking maybe it rubbed. Maybe it rubbed off on Britt. I don't know.
If it was a female, it was going to be Amber. Is that what you're saying?
So I guess I'm wrong here. I guess I'm wrong on those were my best two guesses. The last one,
big leap, isn't it?
The last one, the only other one I can think of. I mean, I don't have anything. Did he name him after a sports character? A sports somebody in sports?
No, but you could say he named him after a very famous meth dealer.
Walter?
Yep.
He named him Walter?
Walt, yeah. That's like you overthinking.
Oh, Walt Disney. Oh, yeah. My goodness. Walt. Come on, man.
We got Kirk Dees in the chat talking about it as well. Yeah, that's it's right in your face. It's almost too obvious, but there you go. Congratulations to Britt. And yeah, hopefully everybody's all good to go. And I think he's going to be, I presume, taking some time off. I think he mentioned that. I feel like I heard him mention that. Is that correct? Can you confirm this, Keith?
Yes, he did say I think he would be out for about a month.
There you go. All right. So, of course, we're talking baseball as well. Do you want to say hello to the chat there on the YouTube? What up, YouTube? Please kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. We're here as a collective all the way up to lock. So 2+ hours. Myself, Chop, Keith, we're starting things off the first hour and 25 hour and 30 minutes or so. And then you got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, SDL Cards, and TJ Zwarych. Don't say his last name enough. It's a fun name to say. I'm embracing it. At first, I was like, I'm just afraid I'm going to mispronounce that. But Zwarych, confirm that that's correct, TJ. I believe that is correct. But yeah, that's a good name. I like it. All right. We should mention Fanduel and DK, 2 different routes as far as the slates tonight. Fanduel just an 8-gamer. DK is a 10-gamer. Why is that? DK is including the the back half of 2 doubleheaders that are going on right now. The Dodgers and the Arizona game, that's on DK. They are currently up 6-3 in the 7th, and the Royals are getting shut out in the 9th inning against the White Sox. Both those games are on the DK slate, and they're not on the Fanduel slate. Chop, you're going to concentrate mostly on Fanduel, is that right?
Sounds like a plan.
And Keith, it's going to work out perfectly because you're playing mostly on DK today. You're going to focus mostly on DK. Sounds good?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Whoa, slow down, Dean.
Yeah.
You're not going to start the slate yet, are you?
What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the lottery draft? Or you're excited about the lottery?
Are you going to gloss over the big news of the night?
What is the big?
The absolute rivalry begins tonight, Dean, between you and Kirk. I see Kirk Dees in chat. This is a rivalry, a showdown. You got any words for Kirk Dees on this big Boston v Miami? This is just gladiators going at it right here, Dean.
I just hope everybody has fun and enjoys themselves. I said yesterday, Kirk Dees always makes fun of me for being a mush, right? So I'm testing those mush powers, and I said, well, the Celtics are going to win, and let's see if I can mush the Celtics. I don't know if it works that way. If you can manipulate the mush, but that's what we're going to try and do. And yeah, Roth is a Lightning fan, and I'm a Panther fan. So, and of course they're on at the same time because God forbid they're not. The entire series, I think, is basically the same days as far as the hockey and the basketball. But tonight we're going to need the old laptop. We're going to do the side monitor. Got to watch some baseball. Got to watch some basketball. Got to watch some hockey. Got to watch Barry. Haven't watched an episode of Barry yet. If Kirk Dees is out there, he's ready to spoil that, I'm sure. He loves spoiling things. The rule of spoilers. He does not realize we live in a society.
Yeah, speaking of babies on the way and baby names, Kirk Dees, there's a rumor out there floating around. Kirk might be naming his son Hank from a Barry character. Hank Kirkwood.
That would be no Hank.
I'm just saying, there's rumors out there, Dean.
I heard he was trying to get Kirkwood to try to make that be a thing. He was like his own personal fetch, but that's not happening, right? There's no way the wife's going to be buying.
Not going for that, Dean. I need to come on, Dean. Give me the scoop here. How do you really think Miami has a chance against this juggernaut of a Celtics team?
Of course they have a chance. Yeah, absolutely. They have home court and they're pretty good. I would like
Celtics
Lowry.
Are good though, man. Celtics are historically good.
They're both they're two really good defensive teams. It's probably going to come down to 3-point variance as it always does or typically does. And, Miami's got their 3-point shooters and, Boston can hit threes as well. And Miami will yield some threes. And that's probably what it's going to come down to, right? Basically.
Oh, no, let's ask Keith. He's the expert, man.
Keith, what do you think? Boston you're impartial. You don't have any sort of a loyalty to either, I presume. You're a Bulls fan, I believe.
That's correct. I heard your mush yesterday, so I threw down some good old American dollars on the Heat for game one.
Yes.
For the series, though, I do lean to Boston for the series, but it should be a really close series. A lot of good defense, like you guys mentioned. I'd go Boston for the series, but I think the Heat pull out game one.
Well, is the thought process that Miami's well rested and Boston's just coming off like a really long series? Is that kind of where you're coming from?
Yeah. Yep. I saw a nice stat today. Don't even remember where I saw it. It was yesterday actually, but teams' records after playing a game 7 against a team that did not have to play a game 7, it's pretty favorable in favor of the team that did not play the game 7. So it wasn't solely based on your mush.
So, okay, so you like Miami at least to win a game. Alex in chat saying about wallets on the Heat. There you go. Look, you guys are treating Miami like there's just this pushover. Miami's good. They were in the finals a year or two ago. Basically the same team, more or less. Bam and Jimmy are pretty solid, and they have a bunch of guys who can shoot around them. I don't know. They're not like
I like Miami, but I'm just watching this Celtics team, Dean. Here's, you're right. I'm gonna lay it out straight for you, Dean. Straight shooter here. This is all it comes down. This is just nothing. Like the Warriors and Mavs. The Warriors probably take that thing in 5 games, maybe 4 games. I don't know.
They say the same thing about Phoenix, but yeah.
No. But Phoenix, there's things that there was huge red flags with Phoenix. Huge red flags.
What were the red flags? 37-year-old Chris
They
Paul?
don't shoot 3-point shots. They don't get to the rim. They're the highest. They shoot the highest percentage of 2-point mid-range shots in the NBA. That's just terrible for today's game. You're facing a team in the Mavericks that shoots nothing but 3-point shots, and they have that playmaking point guard who can get you the open 3-point shots, and you don't have anybody to defend that guy. Like the Warriors will stick Wiggins on him. when he gets a little tired, they'll stick Draymond on him, and they got the big guy because you don't have to be a quick small guy to guard Luka. You need some muscle length. The Phoenix didn't have this, so those red flags. But that's not the point. Point is, Warriors are a more talented team altogether. Best player Luka, but anyway, back to this series, the difference is like when Boston, when they hit their 3-point shots at an absurd rate, which they do a lot. Like you keep thinking they're going to fall off. They'll beat anybody by double digits. It's crazy how good they are from the arc sometimes. If you can keep the 3-point game close with them, you'll win that game because they're not as proficient around the rim. But so it's just going to come down to 3-point shots. When they hit them, you ain't going to beat them. When you can hang with them, you will absolutely beat them. So that's just all it comes down to, doing 3-point shooting. That's today's NBA.
That's one of the weaknesses with Miami is that their two best players are not 3-point shooters, really. I mean, Jimmy can hit them, right? Bam really can't. And that's kind of a problem.
That's why people laugh, but missing Kyle Lowry is huge in this series because of the 3-point shot and because he matches up real well with Marcus Smart.
What, you don't think Max Strus is going to be able to fill that void?
He's fine, but imagine a lineup with Strus and Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, and Hero's important as well, too. He's kind of a liability defensively, but he's also got to be, somebody coming off the bench that can fire as well. It'll be fun. It'll be an interesting series. It's weird to say Miami's going to steal game one, but I feel like they kind of have to steal game one to make a series out of it. And I'm not ready to say it's over because, I think it goes at least 6. How about that?
Well, some would say you don't want it to go 7 if you're a Boston fan, because that means that game 7, 78% winning percentage for the home court comes into play. You don't want that to happen. So, Boston should be able to finish this off in 6 or less.
All right, let's talk about tonight's slate. I know the chat, are they getting restless? They're still talking basketball. But Chops, aren't you excited because you get to watch some ping pong balls tonight?
Yeah, not as excited this year as last year. Last year there was a definitive number one guy that, man, if you got the number one pick, that was clear cut. This year, I think being in the lottery where the Rockets are, you're guaranteed of nothing outside the 5. You're going to get at least 1 through 5. And I don't think the difference between 1 through 5 this year is that big of a gap. Whereas last year, you really wanted Kate Cunningham. So excited. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's not as exciting as last year.
Was Cunningham, I don't follow college basketball, was Cunningham the clear guy over Mobley in college?
He was coming into that draft the clear number one guy, clear loud. There was a lot of questions about Mobley and the big guys in today's game. Now, he ended up being a really good pick, But, there's always going to be questions about a 7-footer. And in today's – Cade was like 6'8" with the wingspan, offense, defense, everything. So that was a clear-cut number one this year. I'd be hard-pressed to name who I would want if I had the number one pick.
It's the Duke guy and the Gonzaga guy. Are those the top 2 guys?
Oh, man, yeah. It's polarizing. Chet Holmgren, he's polarizing, man.
Yeah. And I have no clue. I don't know if he's good or not. You follow college basketball at all?
No, not
Keith.
Sorry, Keith. Yeah.
No, not near as much as Chop. I think Chop is. I've heard him speak. I think we were on a show with Grant. Not a fan of Chet. Is that correct? So you're hoping he goes early?
Man, I got to keep my options open because the Rockets may just draft that son of a gun. So I don't want to badmouth him too much right now. But I've had my question marks about old Chet. I've had my question marks, but who knows, man? I would have never thought Mobley was going to come in and be that good as a rookie. So you never know these guys. Who knows?
We got Brian in chat, who apparently Context News is telling me Brian is a teacher. I suspended a student today for vaping in class per our school guidelines. Which one of you 3 ever did this in school? Did you guys ever vape in school? Was vaping an option for you guys in school? I don't vape.
No, I don't know what a vape was back then, Dean. There was no such thing.
But Brian's saying I'm the chalk. He says, I say it was Dean. He's the one that's most likely to have done this. No, I don't know what I'm missing out on. Is that fun, vaping? I can't speak to it, Keith.
I've hit the vape before, but it was not around when I was in high school.
Fair enough. All right. Let's talk tonight's slate. 10-gamer on DK, 8-gamer on Fanduel. We talked a little pre-show, Keith, as far as maybe it's possible we might get some late lineups, especially for the Dodger game. It may suppress ownership to some degree. Who knows? Just because, they're playing right now, and they're obviously not going to release a lineup for game 2 when game 1 is still going on. So I think well, there's two things, Keith, in this slate, right? There's no pitching. There's a lack. I haven't looked at it tomorrow. Like yesterday, the pitching stunk. There must be some good pitchers coming around the corner. Like it feels like it's like they're on that track when the season starts, like all the ones, all the twos, all the threes. It's all crap right now. So there's no pitching, Keith. And the other thing is, the Giants, and we saw last night, it was kind of an extreme circumstance because we know how much they pinch hit, and Senzatella got hurt, and that completely changed things. Your Giants stack looked like, I don't know what happened to him at the end of the night. It's like, well, where are all my players? And that's probably going to happen again tonight, just maybe a little bit later in the game. How do you handle that? Because almost definitely there's going to be some pinch hitters in San Francisco or in Coors, I guess, of the Giants.
Yeah, the thing I struggle with is their pricing. Like they are so underpriced, and there's better pitchers in Coors today than there was yesterday. But they're still the top two stacks on the slate, or top two of the top three, I would say at least. The Giants are underpriced, and that means that it's really hard to get away from them because you might get 2 or 3 at bats, and like to pay off a $3,500 price tag, that could happen in those 3 at bats. I'll probably just stack them roughly even with the field, which is how I handled it yesterday. And just hope that the guys that I have in my best lineups aren't the ones that end up getting yanked for their final at bat or two. There's no way to predict this. It's not like a certain guy is the one getting pinch hit every time. It's just whoever's coming up to the plate when there's a pitching change and the lefty comes in. So yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not making any kind of rules as far as who to play together or who not. You just got to roll with it and hope that it works out for you.
Rogers Center, Toronto roof is open today for what it's worth. No lineup yet for San Francisco, but they're going to have a bunch of lefties there, and they're going to have like guys like maybe Wilmer Flores or Darren Ruff, those kind of guys. We saw Tommy La Stella came back last night as the DH, batting I think 8th. He got 1 at bat. That's that. And Senzatella was gone, and they immediately replaced him, I think, but Ruff is the DH, and that was that. He's super, super cheap. He's like $2K on DK. He's like 2.7 on Fanduel. He's also like not great. And he was playing the first game of his season last night. That's just sort of how things go. Colorado does have 2 lefties in their bullpen. They did use Bloch a good bit last night, so he may not be available tonight through 55 pitches. Maybe he comes back. I don't know. Probably not. They have Gilbreth who would pitch if he pitches tonight a third and 4 nights, but that's not too crazy. So I assume they will dust off Gilbreth and maybe Bloch doesn't go because, he was the long man they kind of brought in to relieve the injured Senzatella. Chop, your thoughts on that? And like the other part is like he's kind of talking about it is that the Giants are so cheap that even if you get like 3 at bats from Wade, it's almost worth it. How are you handling that? Like I know on Fanduel, you're playing mostly on Fanduel. I think Wade is still 2.9. He probably leads off again. The one that was last standing, last man standing, the one did not get pinch hit for was actually the winner, the game winner. He had the walk off Yastrzemski, the last lefty standing, basically him and Belt, the chalk completely busted. But yeah, Chop, your general thoughts as far as how to handle the Giants tonight.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. What I can't do, I don't know what advice to give people. I don't know. You just do what you got to do. But for me personally, like I'm going to play Giants the normal rate that I would regardless of anybody in Coors Field in this position with a 6-team total. Like I'm not going too far over the field, but I'm not going to be under the field either. I'm going to probably be in line with the field. So I just treat it a little bit differently, just my GPPs in general. I'm a lot less worried about ownership, in baseball, a little bit more than basketball or football, but I'm still not that worried about it. I'm not going to fade them for any of those reasons. I'll still have them. My GPP teams are just about combinations and getting lucky and falling into the right combination where there's just no dead spots in your lineup and things like that. So I'll have them. I'll probably be on par with the field. Won't go overboard, but I certainly am not going to go underweight on a 6-team total because, yes, I hate if I'm playing a cash game, I would hate to get ripped off of a quarter of my at-bats, and a whole at-bat. I'd hate to get ripped off. But in a GPP, your guy comes up in the first inning in Coors Field and smacks one out, and you're like, oh, well, damn, I'm drawing dead already, because, it's Coors Field, and he's already got a homer up on everybody else. So I'll be on par with the field.
Yeah, and we have C. Kirkies in chat talking about Bloch, unlikely to pitch today. Yeah, I don't expect him to pitch either. So maybe the whole lefty nonsense in Coors will be a little less subdued. I presume at some point they will bring in Gilbreth, but and the Giants did start the game yesterday, I believe. Like their lineup was lefty, lefty, lefty. Like that's how they started their lineup. 4, I think. It was Wade, Peterson, Yaz, and Belt, 1 through 4, all lefties. And some managers like to stack. They don't necessarily do that in San Fran. Maybe they'll change it up a little bit today. Kind of curious how that goes. But and they have, Crawford and LaStella, plenty of lefties in that lineup. And of course, Chad Kuhl, righty on the mound. So you got to assume most of them, if not all of them, will be starting tonight. Shot the other part, kind of bearing the lead here, and I mentioned it to Keith. And give me the long list of pitchers you like tonight.
Let me see here. Let me pull up my chop rankings. There's the first 2 guys on my list are, definitely the guys I want the most of. That's Barrios and the Oakland guy. Kaprelian. There you go. That's his name. After that, it starts to thin out a lot more. We're getting a high projection for Bundy. I don't know if I believe in that one. Eovaldi can be okay. I think probably, typical regular season game, I probably wouldn't be too far overweight on Eovaldi, but I think this is a pretty intense matchup for him. I think he kind of wants to perform well here, so I can see getting behind him. After those first 2 games,
Boston and Houston.
I mean,
they don't like each other.
Boston kind of doesn't like Houston. We bounced them, last year from the playoffs and all that good stuff, and so I don't know, Dean, but I just think, it's maybe it means a little bit to Eovaldi. But there's really, after those first 2 guys, it's a severe drop-off, man. I mean, I don't mind going to like a Logan Gilbert. I'll take the talent. Yeah. I have my question marks about Reed Detmers coming off the no-hitter. Like, I don't, young guys being pushed like that, I don't know. It's thing, but I mean, he's in the mix tonight. You have to have, but yeah, there's a big drop off there after those first 2 guys. I think the first 2 guys I'm overweight on, and the rest of those guys, sheesh, it's tough.
Yeah, it's funny. We're on the same path as far as Detmers because throughout his last start where he threw the no hitter, which was kind of a nonsense. I mean, it was no hitter. Congratulations, but it was a lot of BABIP stuff worked out in his favor. That has to happen. There are no hitters. It wasn't a dominant one. He had 2 strikeouts. And again, congratulations. Good for him. Bit of a prospect there, obviously, in the Angels organization, but 108 pitches before that, 78, 88, 70, 65, 75. Keith, you've got to think, like the Angels have aspirations for the playoffs. They're not going to let Detmers go 100 pitches again. Where I wouldn't look. I don't think. I feel like they're going to baby him a little bit of kid gloves. And again, it wasn't even a spectacular performance. It just, balls were hit right at fielders, and good for him. There's not a lot of options, but I'm down on Detmers tonight too.
I'm 100% with you guys there. Stevie and I talked a little bit about this on the morning grind. Like 108 pitches, that's truly extending a young guy into today's game. I would not be surprised if he doesn't top 80 pitches in the start.
Yeah.
I know Madden, just watching every Cubs game when he was there managing, like if he extended a guy the start before, they would absolutely have a quick hook in the next game. I remember it happening to Kyle Hendricks several times in 2016, 2017. Detmers is in that same position today. I will be shocked if he goes over 85 pitches in this one. I looked at the pitch count in the bat just so I could kind of gauge where his projection came out. He's projected at 99 pitches right now. I think that's too many. So I'm gonna drop that projection a little bit, and that means that I'm probably not going to end up with any Detmers today. I do want to touch on Dylan Bundy also. I saw a report that he is on a pitch count today, and his pitch count is also in there at 89 today. I don't think there's any chance he throws 89 pitches today.
He hasn't pitched in 2 weeks, right? And coming off the COVID list, and his last 2 starts, he got his face punched in both times. The only thing you can say nice about Dylan Bundy is he's facing Oakland. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're exactly right. But Baldelli, the manager, has a quote saying we might be in some type of piggyback situation so that we don't have to run him out there for 85 pitches today. That's the quote from the manager. I think Bundy's going to be more in that like 65 to 75 pitch count range. So I'm crossing him off my list today too.
So like the strategy is, and this is kind of my strategy too, right? You're not necessarily picking pitchers you like. You're picking the last one standing, right? Like I don't love anybody. You can poke holes in all these guys, but Bundy is an X. and for that reason. And I think Detmers, I don't want to say an XX necessarily. Like if you're running 150, whatever, but I don't anticipate playing him anymore, nearly at the field. But so who's standing, Keith? Who's left, right?
Yeah.
Because we got a roster 2 on DK, you got a roster 1 on Fanduel, and like maybe you do just bet in the talent of Gilbert, bet on Eovaldi, and Eovaldi, at least he's going to throw 95 pitches. Like it's a tough matchup, sure, but he should be okay. He should survive. He's probably not going to be incredible, but he goes like you're at 6, strikes out 5, gives up 2 runs, and whatever. Maybe he gets W. You never know. That's okay. That's good enough in this slate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So Tyon is the guy with the matchup, but he's also coming with the ownership. So, I mean, I don't want to play a $9,300 Jameson Tyon at 35% ownership. That just, I know Baltimore stinks, but that just does not sound like Tyon has not had the strikeout stuff. The leash has not been very long for him either. So I agree with you guys. I like Gilbert and Eovaldi better. They can pitch deeper into the game. Yes, they're both in tough matchups, but they've both been really good this year. They both had strikeout rates in the upper 20s, obviously facing 2 low strikeout offenses, but Eovaldi and Gilbert are my favorite too if I'm paying up.
What do you think of Barrios? Barrios is a guy you're supposedly betting on talent. The talent hasn't really shown up this year. He's not been good, right? He's facing a Seattle team that you're not necessarily afraid of. And it's not like Barrios has been necessarily unlucky. He's been somewhat unlucky. The ERA is almost at 6, but the Sierra is 4.73, which also isn't good. The Ks aren't there, 15.3%. Swinging strikes don't really back it up too much at 8.5%, which is not spectacular. BABIP 316, a little bit unlucky, I suppose. Homer in the fly ball, 12.2%, a little bit unlucky, I suppose, but not really. Jose Barrios, you're at least getting a discount on him.
Yeah, so the lower strikeouts and the less of a leash are kind of priced in. Like I think he's more of like an upper 8K pitcher if he had that traditional like 23% strikeout rate that he's had in his career. So you are getting a slight discount here. Hopefully something clicks for him and he gets the strikeouts to jump back up. I don't know exactly what the issue is. I dug into the velocity a little bit. That seems fine. Pitch mix looks pretty similar to what it did last year. So not exactly sure what's going on with him, but yeah, strikeouts are all the way down at 16% so far this year. I'm going to play him today just because there are so few options with upside. Even at 7,800, even if he only gets you 4 or 5 Ks in this matchup, I think he's fine.
Extreme hitters umpire in Coors today, for what it's worth. Extreme pitchers umpire for the Milwaukee Atlanta game. Hauser and Davidson getting called up from the minor leagues. Chop, what's your take as far as Barrios?
I mean, he's one of my top 2. Let me see here. It's a fine matchup. I'm not all that worried about Seattle. He's got, as far as like his underlying numbers are as good. It's a weak slate of pitching. Is as good. His xFIP is second lowest on the whole slate behind Eovaldi for the last 2 years. He strikes guys out. Low walk rate. I like him. He's in my top 2. He's borderline number 1 for me. So that's where I'm at with Barrios.
Game 1 for the White Sox over, by the way. Sox won 3-0. Game 1 of the Dodger-Arizona game, currently 6-5 in the bottom of the 7th. Again, both those games, game 2 will be on the DK slate. FanDuel threw them out. So FanDuel 8-gamer, 10-gamer on DK. Chop, what do you think of Tyon against Baltimore? Baltimore, obviously, pretty good matchup.
It's a great matchup. It's a great matchup, Dean. So you play him. I'm a little baffled over here, Dean. I can't put 2 and 2 together. We got a guy in chat, Duke Dean. He says, first time sitting in on this. Why did I think Chop was 75 years old? I don't know. Is he saying he thought I was 75 before he tuned in, and now he sees? No, he's actually not 75. Or is he saying that, I'm tuning in, I think Chop's 75. The lighting is not too good, not too complimentary. I don't know. I need Duke Dean to explain himself. But, it's a great matchup. It's a great matchup. And
what is Kirkwood saying? I think I'm back in college. What is the reference to that? What did I miss?
Oh, I must have missed that one. I can't
explain that, Kirkwood.
It's coming too fast. It's coming too fast. But he's on you though, Dean. Oh, you see what he did in Discord, don't you, Dean?
What did I do in Discord?
He put the green Hulk Dean picture up there, man. In honor of tonight's game, he put the green Hulk picture up from you, man. So
that was a throwback. I totally forgot that even was a thing. But I don't know how that happened.
If it's on the internet, Kirky can scrape it and he'll get it. He'll throw it back on you. But Taillon's fine because of the matchup. Like 8 games, 16 teams out there on FanDuel. Normally, I really wouldn't be looking that hard at Jameson Taillon, but yeah, tonight he's going to make my top 5. So you got to play him. Anytime you can get a chance to pick on Baltimore, you got to do it.
I mean, we're talking about a guy, Keith, with a 19% K rate, and like he's going to be super owned, especially on DK. I'm pulling up the ownership stuff now on DK. Obviously got a roster too, and your options are bad as is. So people are just going to default and say, screw it, I'll take Taillon, I suppose. And he should be fine. Probably not breaking the slate. I just hit refresh and I've lost my ownership. Is that on me or is that on everybody else as well? Are they kind of working on things now, Lineup HQ?
Select instead of the bat, change it to Plate IQ. That happened to me. Good
call. Yeah, because I usually default to what Cardi has. Okay, there you go. Nicely done. And let's see what we have as far as ownership stuff. Yeah, Taillon at 35%, Barrios at 33%, Bundy at 26%, and I really hope that holds true. Like that's a real edge, I think, on this slate.
Yep.
If 26% of people play Bundy on DK.
It'll go down, Dean. It'll go down when Cardi gets the word that Bundy's only going to throw 65 pitches. He'll lower the projection, and all of a sudden, magically, their ownership will go way down.
Duke Dean is clarifying himself in the chat. I thought you were 75 before I saw your picture. So why would you think you're 75?
I mean, I guess he just heard the podcast, and I guess he hears the mellowness, the wiseness coming from my voice, and without the picture, you think maybe that's an older guy that's seen a thing or two in life.
Dare we ask Duke Dean how old he thinks you are now, or should we not have a follow-up question?
I think that's a good question, Duke Dean. How old do you? how old would you say? Looking at the picture now. Now, granted, I did just shave, and shaving, when I shave completely like this, it does put a few years on my face, believe me.
You knock out the shaving like once a week or what?
I try to do it at least 24 hours before the show. Before any show. So sometimes that could be twice, sometimes it could be 3 times a week. How often do you shave, Dean? Because you never have any scruff, man.
Usually like once a week. Yeah, I'm not very masculine. I shaved on Monday, and there's not much going on here. But Duke Dean says easy 38. I don't know if he's saying you're easily 38.
I mean, you're just throwing word circles, Dean. Like easy 38, as in like no way he's over 38, or no way this guy's under 38. That's easy 38.
Like he thinks he nailed it. He got both showcase showdowns. I don't know, but. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's saying at least that's the starting point, and then he's gonna start adding some years. he's just working out the calculations for people to know how behind the curtain. But yeah, all right, easy 30. Is that okay, Chop? Did you go with 38? You take it?
I mean, I'll take it. It's better than 75.
Oh man. Rest of the slate as far as pitchers. Man, it's just survival, and it's gross. I will say, as Chicago, we talk about Chicago, Wrigley Field as far as weather, more so than any other ballpark is affected by the current conditions. It looks really good from a weather perspective for pitching. We fire up Kevin Roth's Weather Edge tool, and it confirms that 90-game sample size, 53 degrees, 8 miles per hour as far as the wind blowing in, basically straight in to home. We've seen similar games, 90 similar games with this weather. We don't know who was pitching or hitting, and none of that stuff we don't know. All we can tell you is the weather was similar to what it is tonight. And we've seen a decrease in homers at 31%, decrease in runs at 8%. But Keith, do we want to roster either one of these terrible pitchers in Pittsburgh and Chicago? Brubaker is okay. They don't really let him go, which is kind of my issue with him. But maybe he's fine. What are we doing with these pitchers in this Cub-Pittsburgh game?
Yeah, I've got some interest in Brubaker. I was digging into this a little bit. It almost seems like he has a hard cap of 5 innings because his pitch count is all over the place. But he does have above average strikeout rate. He's over 23%, and he gets a high strikeout Cubs lineup today. You give me the wind blowing in, maybe that helps him with the fly ball issues. Like, I don't think anybody's hitting a home run off him today. He struggled with control a little bit this season, but that's not been typical of him. So I'm going to take some shots on Brubaker. Like you said, like he's not any worse than a Caprillion or a Barrios to me in this spot. I think his matchup is a little bit stronger. He's a little bit cheaper. So I like Brubaker a good amount. Probably won't get to any Thompson. I like the conditions and the matchup against Pittsburgh. I just don't feel like he's going to go deep enough into the game. We're probably talking about 70 pitches for him.
I was actually watching that last start for Brubaker, and I was like, why? And I was like, oh, I think I needed the quality start or something like that. I think it was another terrible slate. And I was like, well, wait, he's not coming out for the 6th? Like, he was pitching pretty well. He's 77 pitches, and that was it. And maybe you're right. There's just a hard cap on him. Managers are weird. Like, it's strange that like 5 innings are 5 innings are 5 innings. Like, but that to me is like, well, shouldn't 90 pitches versus 60 pitches be different? I don't know. Keith, I'm sure you've noticed this as well.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me. But if you look at his game log, it's the last 3 starts have been 5 pitches, but the pitches have been 77, 83, 66. Like, those are it seems like the innings are what they're going by, which makes no sense to me either.
Hey, I know you hit up the sports book quite frequently. Is there a number on him and how many outs? If it's like 15, if it's 15 and a half outs, like always bet the under on Brubaker. I don't know. Maybe it's not. What's the number on Brubaker? Have you looked at this?
I did not look at pitching outs much today. I did take his over 4.5 strikeouts though.
What else do you have? Because I know, I'm sorry, go ahead. You're going to elaborate.
No, I was just going to try to pull up the outs, but let me see if I can find it here real quick. Go ahead with what you're going to ask while I'm trying.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if can you take advantage of the Bundy stuff? Is Bundy, does he have like some unders that are out there that are kind of appealing?
Absolutely. His strikeout prop was at 4.5. I wrote him up in the article today as well. So I'm absolutely on that under for Bundy. The concern is that he's facing Oakland. Bundy's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but he could absolutely end up with 5 strikeouts and 60 pitches against Oakland. So a little bit of concern there, but I do like the under. I think there's an edge there for sure.
I love this question in chat, by the way. If you can bring back one, and I don't know if Keith's old enough, but Chop certainly is, at least according to Duke Dean. Chop, I'll bring you in this question. Philip's asking me specifically, but if you can bring back one, American Gladiators or Slam Ball. Now, I think Slam Ball was like the basketball on trampolines. Isn't that what that was? I think. Chop?
I actually don't remember Slam Ball. I don't know what that is. I do remember American Gladiators, and that stuff was pretty awesome.
Who was your guy? Was it like Gemini? Was it Hawk? Blaze?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'd have to pull up like the whole Google who they were so I can remember them. But
Nitro is the name that sticks out to me.
There you go. All right.
Wasn't one of them? Who's the guy that's on? He hosts America Got Talent now. He was on Friday after next.
Cruz?
Yeah, wasn't he in a Gladiator? Wasn't he an American Gladiator?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think so.
I'm gonna have to Google it, Dean.
According to Zach, that is what Slam Ball was like. It was like basketball on trampolines, and it was wild. It was pretty nutty. I just Googled it, and Google doesn't really recognize that right away as the first thing. But like some crazy dunks, like they're jumping like 15, 20 feet in the air or so. They did try to reboot American Gladiators with Muhammad Ali's daughter and Hulk Hogan a few years back. I don't think it worked. It flopped. They try to make it a thing again, but do you have a favorite event, Chop, from American Gladiators? Do you remember? Is there one that comes to mind?
No, I don't. It's so far ago. No, I don't remember all that way back.
Yeah, you do. You watched it every Saturday morning.
I watched it, but I don't remember the event and the names of the people on there. Goodness gracious, Dean.
Well, they say, Chop, one of the first things to go is memory.
Maybe I got the mind of a 75-year-old. I don't see Terry Crews on there, so maybe I was wrong.
I think that's a Chop fact. I'm pretty sure that's not true.
Yeah, he looks like an American Gladiator. How about that?
He certainly could have qualified for the physique, right? But I don't believe he was. So, what lipstick on a pig as far as the pitchers, Keith? Give us the rundown again. It's gross. Got a roster 2 on DK, got a roster 1 on the old FanDuel. Give us the summary. Do we miss anybody? Like, certainly you can play Evaldi, you can bet the talent of Gilbert. I was thinking kind of sort of someone interesting to pick the guy on San Fran, who's got the biggest K rate on the slate this season for what it's worth. He's another guy, Alex Cobb. Keith, why are they babying him? Like, look at his pitch counts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I can play him in Coors. I didn't even look at his pitch counts much, but I know he left one game early with injury here. I don't know. I can't pull it up. Where's he been the last 2 games? I know he had that hamstring injury. So I think that's part of what's holding down the pitch counts. I think he's good to go into like 85, 95 pitch range. But it's
85 last time out, 74 before that, 40 before that, 60, 83. But one of those, like you said, he left because of injury. He's got a 30% K rate this season. Of course, you don't really want to pick on, Coors Field.
Right. And the problem is, like, he has a decent slider, but his bread and butter is a sinker splitter combination. And I'm really concerned about how that plays at altitude in Coors Field. So I looked at him. I like Alex Cobb as a pitcher a lot. The velocity's up a ton. He's somebody that I've been all over his K props up to this point this year because of that increase in velocity. But I just can't do it in Coors Field for DFS.
What's the general rule in Coors? The up-down stuff, like the 12-6 stuff, is more effective as opposed to the left-right, side-to-side, right?
Yes,
correct.
Is that correct? Wait, I think you said it backwards.
Did I say it backwards?
The up-down is less effective. The side-to-side is more effective. So you're looking for like sliders as opposed to curveballs and sinkers.
All right, fair enough. Give me the summary here. Is there a cheap guy you like to just kind of get in and out as cheap as possible? Like, I guess that's Brubaker or Barrios.
Yeah, I mean, going all the way down to Brady Singer is not the craziest thing in the world. He's 4,800. He's been pitching out of the bullpen this year, but they did send him down to get stretched out. He threw 6 innings in his last AAA start, but he wasn't very good. He gave up 4 runs, including 2 home runs. So, I mean, he can probably go 80 pitches in this one, and that's useful for 4,800 against a White Sox team that has struggled this season. But man, it's hard when a guy can't get AAA hitters out to think that he can come in and get major league hitters out. But at 4,800 and the dynamic of this pitching slate, I don't hate taking a couple shots there.
They only used 2 guys out of the pen today for what it's worth. The Royals, that is, they are pitching in the back half of a doubleheader. Sometimes they let them go a little bit longer if like the pen's kind of beat up. And what we saw the other day with Miley, right? Like Miley was a disaster his first time out, but he's also a guy, like if he's pitching okay, they'll let him go like 90 pitches in 6 innings. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I have no confidence in it, but that doesn't matter. Chop, give us a summary as far as pitchers. I assume Singer not in play on FanDuel. I don't think so.
I don't think there's a Singer on the.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, not even on the slate. Right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, the pitching. The summary is it's very thin. It's very thin. So there's 2 ways to look at that. Either you can pick your favorite 1, 2, or 3 or whatever, and just absolutely load up on those guys, or you can just say nobody's going to go crazy at pitcher tonight, so it's all irrelevant, and just build your hitters out first and then plug in whatever pitcher at the end you want, knowing that you probably won't lose too much. Dean, I don't know if you remember the show. You know what show got canceled way too early, Dean? I remember.
Freaks and Geeks. Is that's the answer? But go ahead.
It is an answer you could plug in there, but I really liked it. I watched the whole first season and just nothing. It was crickets after that. Nothing happened after they canceled it. Vinyl from HBO about the record company. Vinyl, HBO.
I knew it existed. I didn't watch it because it got canceled. I'm like, I'm not going to watch. It was like Luck. Did you ever watch Luck on HBO? But they kept killing horses was the problem, which is not funny, obviously. They kept killing a bunch of horses while they were filming the show with Dustin Hoffman. But yeah, Vinyl was good. I remember it was supposed to be good, and they gave it 1 or 2 seasons.
He gave it 1 season. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was really good. About a flailing record company in the 70s or 80s or whatever it was. It was an awesome show, man. It had some good characters, had some good actors, but I guess maybe they got a little too big and wouldn't come back.
Alex in chat's mentioning Deadwood, and I've heard multiple people recommend that show. I've never seen it.
You never seen Deadwood? See, Deadwood was really good. Deadwood was really good, and the actual show got they just stopped making it. Yeah, too early. Yeah, they probably could have summed it up with another season or 2. I could have gone on. It was a really good show, but at least years later, we got a remake of a movie. We got a movie that kind of put the last pieces in place. So That was good, but it was a
Should
good
I watch
show.
it? Should I watch Deadwood? Is it okay if I don't like Westerns? It's still good?
It's really entertaining. You like this. You'd really like this.
Somebody in chat says bring back Singled Out, which is like Chris Hardwick and Jenny McCarthy. You remember this show on MTV? You're aware of this, Chopper.
That was a good show, yeah.
It seems like a really cheap and easy show to make, so why not? Mindhunter ended too early. The guy who created Mindhunter.
That's a good one.
He just said he doesn't want to do it anymore. Like he's exhausted. He says it's too much work. That's
such a good show, man. I can't believe I can't believe that one's over with.
He basically canceled himself. He's like, I can't keep doing it. It's ruining my life, basically. I'm, paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said.
Great show.
Yeah. We got anything else as far as pitchers, or are we talking hitters?
Moving on, Dean. We got to get going, man. These crunch time dudes will be here any minute now.
No, we have plenty of time, man. This is why we have little side conversations. We're on for an hour and a half, and it's not even a full slate. This is necessary to have the filler, Chop. The people like the filler. That's when they participate. They're not asking like, "Hey, what do you think of this guy?" They want to talk about Singled Out. They want to talk about Deadwood and Vinyl and the Mindhunter, which just kind of came out of nowhere. They want to talk about Yahoo, by the way. One person specifically, Kid Yahoo, is in chat right now. Kirk Dees. I have not played Yahoo Baseball this year. I've not done content for Yahoo. I can only play so many sites. I know that their pricing, at least historically, has been pretty extreme. It's very reactionary as far as like who's doing really well and who's doing really poorly. But Chopper or Keith, either one of you guys, have you guys played Yahoo at all this year?
I have not.
I stopped playing Yahoo last year when I got the super veteran tag, and they wouldn't let me participate in GPPs anymore. I thought that was kind of cheesy, so I'm done. I'm done for now with Yahoo until they can make me whole, make me feel better about.
You're an Apex Predator, man.
It's crazy, Dean. It's absurd. I can't play GPPs, but I'm not mentioning no names. But a guy has a nickname, actually Kid Yahoo, and he's just free to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah. I love their football product though. I mean, I had a great time with the contest that they would have, and hopefully they'll do it once again this year, where they just basically have a massive contest with no I can't think of the word now. No rake. And a lot of times they would overlay. So yeah, I'm a big fan of their football product. They go big in football. Baseball, as far as I can tell, they have not gone as big this year, unfortunately. But all right, let's talk to hitters. We kind of talked about, to some degree, San Francisco. One of these games is not like the others. If you look at team totals, Sam Fran has got a team total of over 6. Nobody else has one. Let's see. Did the Yankees have one above 5? Let's see. Yankees are just above 5. Okay, yeah. So then it's the Yankees, and then there's kind of sort of everybody else. How are you handling that, Keith? Because, we all see the same stuff. We're all looking at the same things. Yankees lineup looks pretty standard. LeMahieu, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, Donaldson, Torres, Gallo, IKF, and Higashioka. So, yeah, you kind of spoke on it earlier, but some people kind of sprinkle in throughout the show. Let's say somebody just joined the show, and your thoughts as far as stacks in general, Keith, and what you're doing with San Francisco.
Yeah, I feel way better about hitting than I do about pitching. So I think my strategy on this slate is going to be to just get weird with the pitching and do things like play Brady Singer or spend way too much money on Logan Gilbert or Nathan Eovaldi. And I'm going to eat chalk. I think the Yankees are in a phenomenal spot against a pitcher who's walking as many guys as he's striking out. He's striking out like 11%. He's a reverse splits pitcher that struggles with right-handed power, and obviously with Judge and Stanton there, the Yankees just have a ton of right-handed power. They line up really well. I think Mr. Watkins is going to have a tough time here today. So love the Yankees going to be over the field on them. And then San Francisco on DK, where I'm playing primarily, is just underpriced. So it's hard for me to take an underweight stance when they're also value options. I'm probably just going to play them at the field. I don't feel like I need to be overweight on them. Cool has been a pretty decent pitcher this year, and the metrics and estimators agree with what he's doing. So I buy that Chad Kuhl has taken a decent step forward here. But San Francisco is still a good offense, and the pricing is really the key for me. So probably about the field with San Francisco. I think I put Colorado third there. They're pricey. And I do think Alex Cobb is a good pitcher, but I talked a little bit about his pitch mix and how I I see him having some struggles with that translating here in Coors Field. So those are my pretty clear top three. I probably avoiding the weather in Chicago. I'll be heavily overweight on the top three, and then I'll just sprinkle in some, like in my 20 max, I'll have some Seattle and Toronto. Don't love either one of them. Boston and Houston as well, but I'm just kind of going to sprinkle in the rest just so I have a little piece of everyone. But it's very clearly San Francisco, New York, and Colorado, top three in that order.
No Jared Walsh. He's not playing baseball tonight. No Brian Hayes. And Ronald Acuna coming back tonight, leading off for Atlanta. He's got that groin. I assume he's good to go. We saw his very first game this season when he came back from a different injury, obviously. But like he stole 2 bases right out the gate. So I'm guessing he's good to go. I'm guessing they wouldn't bring him back if he wasn't 100%. So I'm guessing we're getting the standard Acuna leading off today in Milwaukee. Chop, how do you feel? Any differently? Any stands you're taking as far as stacks? And again, like we're all looking at the same thing. And it's, it's obviously Coors Field and it's the Yankees. There's that big rivalry with Houston and Boston. Some good hitters in that game. Eovaldi, one of the Slate's better pitchers, obviously, but you can always play Alvarez and your Astros. Yeah. So where are you at? How are you going to be different? Any particular stands you're taking?
Stands? No stands. How am I going to be different? I'm not sure. I don't know what the field's going to do exactly. So I don't know how much different I'm going to, but I'm in the same boat as Keith. San Fran's fine. The Yankees look good. The Angels, I think, have a really nice team this year. Nice offense there at the top of the order. So I'll play some Yankees. Some Angels. Even though Mike Trout last night cost me a 5 of 5 on Prize Picks. Couldn't get it done. I hate it when that happens. When that's the nightcap, the last one on the board, and you miss it.
You got 4 or 5 though. At least you got some money back, right?
Yeah, but it's not even close to the same thing. It's just such a huge disappointment. But that one happened, and then so I'll go back to the Angels though. I like them, but the Yankees are jumping out. Obviously, Dean, I think there's something going. Spencer Watkins pitching for Baltimore tonight.
Yeah.
So Saturday, I visited my sister, and she introduced me to this adoption dog that needs adopting. Dean.
Okay.
His name is Spencer. All right. So yeah. I'm like, all right. Maybe, because my son, he's like, oh man, we got to adopt this dog. I like this dog. We got to adopt him. Do you have any
right now? Any animals lurking in the chop?
Yeah, we have one. We have one dog right now. So I've been real hesitant to get a second one because they don't take care of him. It's all me. Like they all say, oh yeah, I'll walk him. I'll do this. I'll do that. And it's all me doing all the work.
Lean on the law, Chop.
You can't do that, Dean. You can't force somebody to walk a damn dog. It's really tough, So but the dog, there was an obvious connection there between my son and the dog. So I'm like, listen, I'll make a deal with you. We'll revisit this during the summertime. And then I think later that night or no, it was the next day. Guess what happens, Dean? This guy goes off for the Mavericks, Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer's the name of the dog, Spencer Dinwiddie. Now Spencer Watkins. If I win a GPP stacking against Spencer Watkins or playing Spencer Watkins, it's a sign, right? I got to get the dog, right?
You clearly influenced Spencer Dinwiddie.
No, I'm saying it's just it's the universe giving me a sign. It's Spencer Dinwiddie, Spencer Watkins. Get Spencer. It's just I don't know. I believe in signs.
What is the dog doing from now until summer? Is it in good conditions? What's it just hanging out or what?
This dog was recovered from the side of the road. He got hit by a car. He had to have surgery on his hip, so he can't move anywhere right now anyway. So he won't be leaving his place of residence right now for months to recover. So I've got time to go back and get Spencer.
Well, your sister's keeping it for now?
Yeah, she does that with dogs that need homes temporarily. She takes them in until they can find them good homes.
That's awesome. I was thinking about doing something like that, but I also feel like I would get attached and I wouldn't want to.
It's tough.
You have them for a couple of weeks, and then I guess you get into a good home and you feel good about that. But but I guess the new one comes in, and then they just kind of get. Is that what she does? That's pretty cool. I like it.
Something like that.
All right. You got any animals, Keith?
Nope. No animals for me, but big fan. Just, I don't know, in the process of moving and haven't had time, haven't gotten settled yet really. So I might look into something here.
There you go. Well, go ahead and take Spencer. Beat Chop to it.
There you go.
No, don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Giants lineup just came out. Oh, this is terrible. I hate this. Tommy Listella's leading off. And he's not going to survive the game. He's a DH. Well, I mean, again, there's really only one lefty in that bullpen in Gilbreth. Basically, because Block almost definitely doesn't play. Okasali's playing again. He's drawing the start after banging out 2 homers, no Bart. So it's Listella, Belt moving up to the 2 spot. Flores, Peterson, Yaz, Ruff, Crawford, Estrada, Casali. So by my count, that's 1, 2, 3. No, okay, so 2 lefties, then Flores. Okay, I get it. 2 lefties, then a righty, then 2 more lefties. Listella, Belt being the lefties, Flores the righty, then Peterson, Yaz the lefties, and then Ruff the righty, and then Crawford. Okay. How do we react to that, Keith? Because Listella is so cheap. He's not good. He's very likely not to survive this game. How do we handle this?
Just being only one lefty in the pen, I'm pretty much ignoring it. He's minimum price. He should get 2 at-bats minimum. And for 2K, 2,100, whatever he is, that's enough for me in Coors Field.
Yeah, unless we have an injury on Chad Kuhl. But then even still, they're probably bringing in a righty as a long man. So he probably sticks around. All right. Chop, you have any thoughts as far as that lineup?
Yeah, I'm a little disgusted because the previous segment I just put in a little prize picks and I put Wade in there, and so I got bummed on that one, man. Now everything's going to drop down and revert to just a 4-teamer. But I don't know how the Giants keep winning, man, year after year. Like it's not an impressive overall looking club or team or lineup, but they keep getting it done. So I guess
they
know
always
something.
have the platoon advantage. That's why
they
have a bunch of great
man.
platoon hitters.
They know something, so
They're smart.
Yeah.
White Sox game 2, by the way, no Tim Anderson. Engel leading off. This is only for DK, obviously. Engel, Mancada, Robert, someone call him Robert, Grandal, Sheets, Vaughn. Only moved Vaughn up in the 9th spot. Vaughn, Garcia, Pollock, and then Harrison. So I think that's just Anderson. Wait, aren't they missing
Abreu?
Yeah, the first baseman. Okay, so that White Sox lineup is without 2 of their best hitters. Okay. Who's throwing baseballs against them? I'm trying to remember.
Brady Singer.
Oh, boy. Here it is.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, sure. You can play Brady Singer. It opens stuff up. Why not? Let's go around the horn and give our favorite plays at each position. Before we do that, I want to mention, if you guys happen to be playing some Showdown tonight, the NBA Showdown Sims tool, that is free at Rotogrinders.com. Check out the NBA Showdown tool, single game simulation. There's data and simulations. They probably run it 1,000 times or so. That is free for everybody. Just go to Rotogrinders.com. Also, golf, Twitter Space.
Ding.
Yes.
Ding. I got to put it on hold. We got some breaking news.
A promo here.
This is shocking. This is shocking news, Dean, and this involves you big time.
Okay.
Marcus Smart and Al Horford are out for this game 1.
What?
Ooh.
Why?
That's shocking.
I know
That's
Smart was dinged, but what's Horford? What is he out with?
Health protocols.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's
a
big game 1. But I mean, listen, I think we already seen that game 1 had to be Miami's anyway. So it was just going to be a bonus for Boston. Had to be Miami's game. If they lost, it would have been over. So there's still hope for the series, but that's a rough way to start.
Keith, you smashing Miami, Mel? You said you have Miami, what, -2, -1,
Oh,
1.5?
I've got Miami -2, and I took the money line also, and I parlayed them with Golden State. So I feel pretty good about that.
You got some CLV there, man.
Yes, sir.
You're like Scrooge McDuck over there diving those gold coins. Look at you. What's the line going to move to? This moves the needle a little bit, right? 3.5, 4?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Just one guy. Yeah, just one guy probably wouldn't move it that much, but 2/5 of your starting lineup. Yeah, that's pretty big.
Wow, that's rough. And that was worth breaking up my promo. You didn't give me the air horn. You know, the air horn ready, Chop. You fussed that out there.
I didn't think I'd need it for this show.
Yeah, it's baseball. It's kind of casual, right? But Twitter Space, there's a PGA Twitter Space tonight after MLB Lock. Exclusive Twitter Space discussion on the PGA tournament going down this week with RG experts. You guys know STL cards and Notorious and more. I don't know who and more is. Chop, are you going to be partaking? Are you in more?
I don't think so.
I think you would know.
I don't think so. But you said the NBA Showdown Sims tool, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be somebody's working on that as well. I imagine that's free as well.
It's telling us to take Jason Tatum in the MVP spot tonight.
Yeah, well, you'd think all the usage is going to shuffle to Tatum and Brown, I suppose.
I mean, but it said that before this article is written like earlier in the day, so it didn't even know that it already had Tatum. So I think Tatum's your guy tonight, according to the Sims tool.
Is like Grant Williams or Pritchard or Tice, who's like I'm not playing the slate, so it's going to be somebody's
Derek White, I think.
Minutes.
Yeah,
White. That's
Derek White's a big one.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's tomorrow night, according to Devin. It's an error in the read, or is that an error? Is that my bad, or is that user error? Is that reader error? Or is that whoever sent that to me error? Because let's see, on Wednesday, isn't the golf tournament starting on Thursday? Wait, what day is today? Today's Tuesday. So yeah, that will be Wednesday. That was my bad then. That wasn't tonight. Can we do this again? Take two. Twitter space going down tomorrow night on Wednesday night with Notorious, SDL cards, and more. Maybe Chop, probably not, but you never know. Chop, you've not participated in the Twitter space yet, have you?
I have not participated, but that's the thing about the Twitter space is anybody can really get in there and participate. It's a Twitter space.
Is that good or bad that anybody can participate?
It's a great question, Dean. I mean, it just depends on what kind of followers you have. With my followers, it's not a good thing at all. It's not a good thing at all. But, if guys are really into it, like I was watching I was tuned into a CSU Ram finance Twitter space the other day. That was pretty interesting.
Is that NFTs or just finance?
Just everybody crying about the debacle of the market and crypto and everything, but it was fun. So, well, yeah, if you got the right people, the Twitter space can be quite the good tool. So get in there, Dean. It's a major. This is a major that's coming up here on Thursday.
What is it? Who's playing? What is this?
The PGA Championship, I believe. So you're going to have some big money out there for golf this week. You got to get into the games before they fill.
Keith, are you a golf guy? I feel like do you write some of the golf? I feel like you might.
Nope, I'm not on the golf content.
Well,
I played a little bit a couple of years ago. I haven't gotten into it this year yet for whatever reason. Been too busy with scores and odds and baseball and stuff, but I might dabble in the golf a little bit later on.
I know they give out like outright winners and like top 5 and top 10 and things like that. And when I had a very short window to play when I was in Florida until they shut it down, but I would just like fire at those. I knew nothing about golf, but I would fire at it just for funsies. But yeah, that's a part of the scores and odds package. And you're all not aware, scores and odds, that's the number one place for all things sports betting. And if you're like, hey, I've heard people talk about it, I don't want to, fully dive on in. If you go to Rotogrinders.com, the top banner is you get a 3-day free trial. So get yourself a 3-day free trial. And Keith, are you doing some free content as well for scores and odds?
Yeah, there's some free stuff over there as well. Check out the news section. I write an article 4 times a week. Timothy Buell writes an article 4 times a week. Nick Galeta is doing some stuff. There's a bunch of guys writing articles. There's some good free stuff coming out for sure over in the news section.
All right. Around the horn, a catcher's chop. Give me a long list of all the catchers you love playing baseball tonight.
No, not a long list, Dean. Not a long list at all. I think we're looking to save some money here. Your best talent catchers also have, question marks about their matchups or conditions that they're hitting in. So I think you go cheap. Man. What's your opinion? I need your opinion on something real quick.
Okay.
Catchers hitting in the 8 or 9 hole in your stack. Is it good? Should you do it? Should you not? If you're going to stack, just do it and don't worry about it, or should you really limit it down to? And I need Keith's opinion too, because I have sometimes that throws me for a loop when I see a guy like this.
I think it's weird that people default to saying, well, like, yeah, always play the catcher in your stack. And like, I don't know if that's something you have to do. And that's also one way you can be different, especially, not all catchers are created equal. And some of these catchers are just horrific. Like, of course, you'll get the Kirk Casale 2-dong game, and that just sort of happens. But I don't know. I'd rather, if people aren't playing Gary Sanchez, I know he's a little bit more expensive, but as an example, he's a guy that a la Carr can hit a homer. Like, I'm okay making a 5-man stack and then Sanchez being my one-off and kind of getting there that way. So, it's a very general question that's hard to answer without specifics, and it's hard to give a broad brush answer, but I don't like these rules of like, well, yeah, just play the catcher in your stack. I don't like that. I don't want to be locked into that. I want to have flexibility. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I like flexibility too. I do like including the catcher in my stack, but I definitely don't want like all of my lineups. Especially there's some guys with power out there that like the Will Smith, the Wilson Contreras, Gary Sanchez. Like I want to play those guys as one-offs too. I do think that it makes sense to get some more exposure. Like when you have super chalky days and you've got two or three catchers that are taking up the majority of the ownership, just to sprinkle in the guys in your stacks, because it is more likely that when an offense is doing well, that cheap catchers is what I really like to do it with. Casale is a perfect example yesterday. Like just a random 2 home runs. You probably don't play Casale very much on another random day. And I'm not saying that he just randomly hit 2 home runs in Coors. Like that kind of thing happens every day in baseball. You just get a random home run from a cheap catcher, and that can really make the difference in a tournament. So I like including him in stacks just as a way to get some exposure to guys I wouldn't normally play on their own.
That said, catchers you like tonight?
Let's see here. Gotta go back to Casale, right? I don't think he hits 2 home runs again, but in Coors Field, definitely Diaz as well. Was Sal Perez in that Royals lineup? I didn't refresh here.
That's a good question.
I think he was. He did not catch game 1, so I assume he's in there for game 2. But Wilson Contreras, I don't like the weather in Chicago there, but Contreras at the top of the order is somebody you can always play.
We didn't get the Royals, by the way. No Royals lineup yet. We got Chicago, okay, but not KC.
All right. Sal was out of the first game, so I expect him in there for game 2 for sure. I do like him against the White Sox rookie. He would probably be my top option of spending up. And then other than that, Higashioka be in a Yankee stack. And then the two Coors guys also in stacks. But up at the top, it's Sal Perez, maybe a little Wilson Contreras.
Will Smith caught game 1, so he's almost definitely not going to catch game 2. He may DH, but it's a decent chance he probably doesn't play. We'll see. Stay tuned. No Dodger lineup just yet. That's because that game is still playing. It's 7-5 in the top of the 9th, so that should be over relatively soon, and we should get a Dodger lineup within an hour. All right, let's move on to first base. And Keith, we had the same predicament we had last night, where we have a Brandon Belt egregiously priced. And we know, like, for me, I play a lot of like single entry, 3-entry max stuff. And like the 26% ownership projected on DK is going to get squeezed and be much, much higher. So you're more incentivized to get away from it. Of course, if Belt does his thing, then you're in a lot of trouble playing some catch up. Talk to me about what you're doing with Belt and then the rest of the first baseman today.
So Belt is probably the giant I'm most likely to end up underweight on. He's obviously phenomenal. He's underpriced. But like 26% is a lot. I don't know if I wanted to put him in a quarter of my lineups. I'll probably end up around like 20% giant stacks, and I won't play Belt outside of a giant stack for sure. So I probably end up slightly under the field on Belt. I like Rizzo a good amount as a pivot, just a little bit more expensive. Crone, if you can get all the way up to the top, I think is in a good spot, obviously in Coors Field. This Dodgers lineup has me very intrigued. If we don't get that until like 5 or 10 minutes before lock, I think the Dodgers are going to come in extremely low owned. Yeah. So Freddie Freeman looks like a phenomenal pivot amongst those top guys as well.
Is there anybody that like didn't play game 1 that's definitely going to play? It looks pretty standard, right? Betts, Freeman, Turner. Both Turners played. By the way, somebody in chat just said, shout out to K Freak. Sal Perez did play in game 1. He was DHing and he got hurt apparently because he was relieved by Carlos Santana. So probably unlikely. Yeah. He plays tonight. He wasn't kind of like pictured in the final box, unless you kind of dig into it. I agree on those Dodgers for sure. If you're going to get, and people are distracted by, San Francisco, rightfully so, the Yankees, rightfully so. So I totally get all that. Ohtani left on left. If he's going to be unowned for sure, give me some Ohtani in tournaments. Chop, first base.
Yeah. So I'm with the Rizzo call. I love the Rizzo call. And as far as Belt, 31+% on FanDuel ownership projection, like in the expert survey yesterday, where, there was a lot of Belt love, and I loved Belt too, but I just couldn't put him down. And my reasoning was 31% in Major League Baseball for a hitter. That's a lot, man. I get it. Like in PGA, we were just talking about, chalk actually hits in PGA more than it misses. in basketball, same thing, like chalk hits because, and in football, I don't even mind because the chalk is usually like a running back in a great spot, something. But in baseball, it's totally different. So see a guy creeping up to north of 30%. I can definitely be way underweight, which I will be on belt again because it just doesn't make sense in baseball. But Rizzo, my number one. Probably after that, Roddy Tellez. I like him. He's not bad. He's rejuvenated this year. And then maybe if I throw a third one in there, it's Matt Olson.
We haven't really talked about that game much, Chop. What do you think of that Milwaukee Atlanta game?
It's interesting. It's going to get lost in the shuffle of these other ones, but Tucker Davidson on one side, there's things about him that aren't great. Not a big strikeout guy right now. Gives up a lot of hard hits. So Milwaukee has a good shot there. And on the flip side, Atlanta going up against Adrian Hauser. I'm not super impressed with him. Even worse of a strikeout pitcher, but limits the hard contact, but still, a lot of ground balls and stuff. But still, you never know with a guy like that with an offense like Atlanta could get hot. And so it's a sneaky spot tonight if you want to fade the Yankees or that be your secondary stack to a Yankees or San Francisco. That's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, if you have a general thought in that game, by all means, share it and start us off with second base.
Yeah, no, that's one of the games that is just kind of meh there. I'll play it just so I have some exposure, but it's not going to be a priority for me at all. Over at second, we talked about Tommy La Stella leading off. He's free in Coors, so I think you got to have some of that. Don't mind going all the way down to the bottom of the order with Estrada either. I think that's a fine way to differentiate is play the bottom of the Giants order. Muncy would be the lower owned Dodger that I love here. Love Gleyber Torres in a Yankee stack. Yeah, that about does it.
Yeah, if you missed the Giant lineup, by the way, no Longoria, no Wade, no Joey Bart. Chop, second base.
Simeon against Detmers. If you think Detmers is gonna come back down to earth, then I like this Texas duo in the middle there with Simeon and Seager. So Simeon,
and that's a FanDuel special too, right? Because of the price.
$2,500 on FanDuel is fantastic. So yeah, I like that one. Gleyber Torres. Some would say if you're a Yankees fan, you say he's back. I don't know if he's back, but I'm including him in on my Yankee stacks. That's for sure. I don't mind. Trevor Story had a dreadful start to the Red Sox tenure, but he's better lately. I think he hit a home run last night. I can't quote that. You're a kid. He's not anything special. So maybe Trevor Story gets back on track tonight, or maybe he keeps it up tonight. So you got that. And then obviously anybody from that Coors Field game be all right.
I look at that StatCast stuff and like Gleyber Torres, you mentioned him as far as him being back and it's debatable, whatever, but like he's hitting the ball hard. He's smashing the ball. Average exit velocity this year for Torres, he's in the 90th percentile, hard hit percentage. He's in the 89th percentile, X slug, 93rd percentile, X batting average, 93rd, X WOBA, 92nd. So like he's hitting the ball hard, man. So it's small samples, whatever. It's what we have to deal with a month and a half or whatever it is so far into the season. But yeah, sure. And, Baltimore, obviously, Watkins, one of the more vulnerable pitchers taking the bump tonight. The Yankees earlier this season were disastrous in Baltimore. Of course, it was colder then. They're still adjusting, I suppose, to some degree as far as the ballpark, the new dimensions, left field. We know about the wall being pushed back and raised. All right, let's talk about third base, Keith. Start us off at the hot corner.
All right. So Yankees are the priority for me here. Donaldson would be my preferred option. He's far too cheap for this matchup against Watkins. I don't mind LeMahieu either. He's more expensive, but he's leading off. I'm going to play as much Yankees righties as I can. Moncada is a guy who's underpriced, missed some time with injury. He's been hitting it well since he's been back. So I like him at 3,600. I prefer the Boston righties, but Devers is a guy that I'll have some just because of his talent level there. And Muncy, I mentioned at second, he's eligible at third as well.
I was looking at the sports books as far as FanDuel still has not opened up Boston, Miami as far as their line, but DK has Miami -4, -115. That's kind of what we expected, right, Keith?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, you got to lay a little more juice on Miami at minus 115 there. As far as the money line, they're minus 180 now. Dallas, by the way, 5-point dogs. How do we feel about that line, Keith? 5-point dogs in Golden State for game one.
I took the Golden State side of that. I think Golden State's a far superior team. I think Chop made some really good points about Phoenix and how they were faltering down the stretch. So I think Golden State's far superior. I like them to win that series in 5 or so.
All right, Chopper, third baseman.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned the Yankees guys, so that's fine. I'll go. I like them. I also I'm gonna say Rafael Devers, and I've said Trevor Story. I like Boston one-offs. I don't want to stack them. I don't know how much they get in totality against Urquidy and this bullpen, but he is susceptible to a home run. That's what he does. He throws strikes. So maybe you'll stumble into that 1 or 2 home runs that he's going to give up. He's not going to pitch a shutout. So Boston one-offs, Rafael Devers on the map. And then other than that, really like the Angels at this position here on. You got 2 of them at third base eligible, Taylor Ward and Anthony Rendon on Fanduel. Rendon especially. I know that probably I don't even know his numbers recently against left-handers, but typically at least when he was with Washington, he was really good split platoon. So I'm going to go back to Rendon here.
Yeah, historically he was great. Chop, you can just pull up the Rotogrinders plate IQ. I assume you have premium, right? Since the 2021 against left-handers, Rendon, a 184 ISO, which is not great. And it's interesting if you look at the plate IQ, this lineup really falls off the table from a power perspective. The ISO turns really, really red. Red's bad. When you hit Duffy, Rengifo, Wallach, Marsh is in there because who's not playing baseball today for the Walsh? There's no Walsh, the other lefty, and Velasquez. Man, that Angels lineup just it looks rougher than it does normally. Typically, I guess the lack of Walsh is probably what it is.
Top heavy. Is a top heavy stack, that's for sure. So I would agree with that. I like the top of the order more so than anything down below.
If you want this year, Chop, though, Rendon this year 257 ISO and 44 plate appearances versus lefty. It's not a huge number, but that's obviously a big number as far as power against left-handers.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries for a while now, so I think his numbers were down last year due to some injuries. So if he's feeling healthy, I like that Rendon call a lot.
So yeah, how many years has he been in LA? Is this his third year?
Third. Yeah.
Third.
So you got to give him that 1 year. The first year, you guys say, hey, man, you give him a pass because you get that much money and you're in LA. You're probably not taking the game all that seriously. But so now he's starting to settle down now.
LA, it's just a disaster. Like so far, they wasted Trout and Ohtani, and maybe this is the year they finally at least make the playoffs. I guess Ward has been obviously Ward's been fabulous. I don't know how good he's going to be eventually, but he certainly made that lineup look even.
They don't have
better.
The pitching, Dean. They'll flame out. They don't have the pitching.
Yeah, their pitching is rough. They'll probably sign somebody again. What's the Moreno? He's been open to signing guys, and they spent some money, just some poor spending. Pujols' contract was rough, obviously. That's off the books now, but we'll see. I'm curious to see how that goes. All right, shortstop, Chopper, that's yours.
Yeah, Seager. I said Seager, Simeon connection. Go for that one. I don't mind the left on left here. In fact, it's probably the ownership's not as low as I thought it would be, but still it's fine. A one-off Bogarts. Glaber's over here also. Brandon Crawford. Yikes, that's a tough one. A 7-hitter who's going to draw 20+% ownership. I'll probably be underweight on that compared to the field, but he's in the mix. And after that, those are probably the main guys I'm going with. Those are probably the main guys I'm messing with.
Crawford's a weird one, man. Having a career year at age 34 is kind of sort of out of nowhere. He was always the guy I would punt with on Fanduel for 2-2. I guess I'll play Brandon Crawford. It makes everything else work. But yeah, a little bit better recently. And of course, he's in Coors Field as well. Keith, shortstop, who do you have?
Yeah, I agree with Chop's take on Crawford. I'll end up underweight there. A 7-hitter who's picking up that much ownership. I would rather play some other guys down there in the order. Bogarts is my favorite pivot. Love those Boston righties. Trey Turner be the Dodger I'm looking at here. Don't mind Seager. He's got a decent price over on DK as well. Rengifo is minimum price, hitting sixth for the Angels. I don't know. Don't mind that at all, but not much else.
I wanted to see some of those Angels. I think are in danger. We talk about pinch hit alert. I think there's a couple of those guys in the Angels that might get the hook, and they're really cheap, like you said. And you never really assume these things are going to happen.
Is Rengifo a switch hitter? I think he might be.
Duffy is who I was thinking about. I think Duffy feels like a guy that probably doesn't last the entire game. It feels like a spot where like Walsh might come in for him. I don't know. Do you have any thought on that, or am I just overthinking it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict. So I don't pay much attention to it, honestly. When I'm making stacks, I'm hoping that the stack is going off. They're up 6 runs, and it doesn't really matter too much about platoons and swapping things out.
I mean, yeah, he's 2K on DK. So like, if you need a salary saver, Matt Duffy, and if you're stacking the Angels, sure, no problem there. And he's like, is he a pivot away from Listella at second base? They're both second base eligible, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. Both former Cubs too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's your team as well, isn't it?
Yep, it is. Not going well this year.
You know what's so weird? Like if you stack the Cubs the other day and they put up like an 8 or 9 spot in the first inning, this seems to happen all the time. It's like, oh man, here we go. All the money's coming. And it always seems like the team that puts like 9 in the first inning, like in the final score is like 9-2. And like I wish I didn't see the first inning. If you just tell me it's 9-2, like, okay, but you know what I'm saying? Does this happen?
Right. Well, like it's good, but it could have been so much better. Like you were held scoreless for 7 or 8 innings. So yeah, I'm with you there.
We got the crunch time crew coming in about 5 minutes or so. TJ and presumably Spidey, as well as chief mineralogist Kevin Roth, STL Cards, who stepped in and wrote the big old article today. Dave Potts, cheese is good. The Musings was on hiatus for a day. He'll be back tomorrow, I believe. Cards wrote the article. He'll also be taking you guys all the way up to lock on crunch time. Anything weather-wise, Roth will be all over it. Slew of outfielders, as is always, Keith. Who are some of your favorites?
Yeah, it's again going to be about the Giants here for me. They're just underpriced. Peterson, Yastrzemski. I love the Yankees as well. Judge and Stanton are 2 of the top plays on the slate for me. I like Trout, obviously, and Ohtani. Let's see, for something cheaper here.
How do you feel about Gallo? I know you always talk up Gallo.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. I do prefer Judge and Stanton, even though they're significantly more expensive. I talked about Watkins' reverse splits. He's just giving up more power to the right side of the plate, and I'm chasing home runs here today. So Gallo's obviously cheap enough. I'll play plenty of him because I'm going to be well overweight on the Yankees, but I do strongly prefer Judge and Stanton, even for the price considered.
White leading off today for Texas at 2.3K. We talked about that one yesterday. Like that was a stolen base lock if he gets on base, but that was against Syndergaard. I don't know Detmer's prowess as far as holding on runners. I'll say this, certainly better than Syndergaard. Can't be worse. Chop, outfielders?
Yeah, so there's some of the expensive ones are definitely like he said, the Yankees guys, Judge and Stan, the expensive ones, Gallo, the obvious stick out value on Fanduel. So you go that route. If you're still in the expensive range, I still like Mike Trout. If you're in the value range, Tyrone Taylor, Milwaukee against Davis. Yeah, only 2.2K on Fanduel. I think he's interesting. And let me see. I don't know if the price tag is a value or not. Nah, price tags. He's going to get no ownership, this guy. But this is, Dean, you ready for it? This is my BVP.
Oh, here it is.
It's Randall Grichuk against Alex Cobb in Coors. Now, everything's kind of coming together because we got Coors Field, with the BVP play. So
it's like 9 at-bats. I bet it's a small sample.
14 at-bats.
Oh, yeah, Tampa and Toronto. They face each other a good bit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go
What
Grichuk.
Is it? Out of curiosity, what's the BVP?
Low-ish strikeout rate again. Cobb's a strikeout guy, so if you're not striking out much against him, you're in better shape. So only 3 Ks and 14 at-bats, 8 hits, 4 of them extra base hits. So he's shown a little power against Cobb. He hasn't struck out much. It's in Coors Field. Lots of green flags there, not red flags. They're opposite of red flags. Go for the green flags.
I discovered last week, and I guess you're aware of this, Chop. I discovered just last week that we have BVP content on the site. It's free. That's a free tool. Is that where you find? I was like, I don't know where even Chop's finding it, and apparently it's just right there on the site. You got to find these things, but it's there. So if that
no, I'm gonna have to look into it because I have all the good VVP sites bookmarked, so I'm gonna have to add this one.
I was saying the one that I would look to, like just for funsies, is no longer, it's defunct. You weren't supporting it enough, or
oh man, trust me, we had a big conversation about that at the start of the year. That the site everybody always used folded up, man, before the year started.
Yeah, so there's a hole in the market, and there's it's available for somebody to fill. Actually, no, just go to RG. We have it. Crunch Time Crew knocking on the door. Before we let them in, give me some homers, give me some dongs. The people love dongs, Chopper. Give me 3, and you know what I want? I want one that's going to double dong. Be ambitious. Who's going to hit 2?
Wow. Well, the Dean, we got to go for it then. My double dong is a Grichuk because of Coors Field, and if Casale can do it, I know Grichuk can do it. So, I mean, this is straightforward here. Give me Grichuk. I'm gonna pick one Yankee for you. I'm gonna say Stanton because he's seen the ball pretty well lately. So Stanton on that one, and
you can be ambitious if you want, just for the record.
Let me go with let me give you one more, Dean. Who else is gonna hit a home run? Oh man, I'm gonna go off the radar with this one, Dean.
Okay.
Jesse Winker.
He's really cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah.
DraftKings too. He's 3,100 on DraftKings also.
I didn't realize he was that cheap on DK. Okay, yeah, I'm okay with Winker. Keith, I'm going to ask the same deal. Give me 3 homers, and if you want to give me somebody that's going to bang out too, by all means, go for it.
All right. I'll take the other Yankee. They're just in such a great spot. Give me Judge. Let's see. I'll try to be a little bit more ambitious with the second one here.
I'll take Gleiber, by the way. I'll take the Yankee nobody wants. I'll take Gleiber.
I like that. All right. I like Boston Power as well. So give me Kike Hernandez as the cheap guy to hit one. And in the mid-range, give me Adolis Garcia from Texas.
There you go. Knocking on the door, Crunch Time Crew. It's STL Cards. It's TJ. It's Spidey. It's Kevin Roth, my mortal enemy tonight, Roth. It's going down tonight, 7:00. Lightning Panthers. Let's do it.
You talking smack? I literally just got in and I heard it's going down, Roth, my mortal enemy.
I was told you were here like for 2 minutes or so. You just got in.
No, we literally like 2 seconds.
Right. Well,
look,
that was well timed. Okay,
you're getting a whooping. You and your boys are getting a whooping, and you know it, and that's okay. You're just gonna have to own up to it.
Yeah, it's. Are you gonna watch? I know you like to watch your Mavs. You're gonna be able to watch the hockey.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. Yeah, maybe I'll like slide in the DMs and talk some shit when we're up like 4 goals in the first period.
Oh, it's on, man. Like because Kirk Dees is a Boston guy, and you get the Celtics going against my Heat. I need all my, all my TVs, all my monitors, the baseball, hockey, basketball. It's all going down tonight. Gonna watch a little highlight. See how that big fan of highlight. Underrated sport. I've actually watched a lot of live highlight. Being from Florida, that's just something to do.
World's fastest
probably
sport.
Watch highlight at some point, right?
Yeah, world's fastest sport, man.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I used to play hooky. I used to go play highlight. I had a friend of mine who was actually one of the players and told me some of the inside workings. A lot going on there in highlight.
I don't mean to take this like as a huge tangent, but wasn't there a huge like match fixing issue with highlight? A bunch of people were cheating and became a big deal.
It's certainly possible. It's if you want to rig a game, it's a very easy game to rig. And
there was actually one of the Illinois sports books when they first got rolling here was doing a special for highlight. It's like a exclusive to Rivers Casino. And they offer Highlight live betting, and you can bet like each individual point or whatever they call it. And there was a thing where if you like did $10 bets, you got like $50 in credit. I'm like, well, maybe we'll see if we can churn this $100 and get the $50. And I think I ended up making about $40 out of it. And then I retired from Highlight betting, but that's my extent of knowledge. But
Here's the better question. Do Chop, Ice, or TJ know what highlight is?
TJ doesn't because it's in like South Florida, Spain, and I think Connecticut for some reason. That's like basically like that's the hub.
Right. Ice gave the no.
I have no clue.
No. Chop?
No way.
Isn't it that weird game where they throw the ball all weird?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Chop might know.
There you go, Chop. There you go.
Stick. But you guys are in for a good hockey battle there, man.
Oh, it's going to be
I like both those teams, so that's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
You watch hockey? You're a Dallas
I
Stars,
did get into no, I don't like the Dallas Stars. I did get into hockey a little bit this year because I was bored after football season, so I started playing some DFS. So I know both these teams. Florida's deep, and I like the Nikita, the Russian dude for Tampa Bay. He's really good. So
my extent of knowledge is that I know that Florida comes from like 5 goals down to win every time they fall way behind. So
they rope-a-dope you.
There you go.
Yeah, Dean's got a lot on his plate here tonight between the Celtics
and I'm sure the Marlins probably play. You got to make sure you follow the Marlins as well. I
broke up with the Marlins. We're not talking. We're not in speaking terms. Yeah, it was an ugly breakup. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not over it just yet. But yeah. Hey, we should yield. We should step aside. Let y'all talk about tonight's slate.
Please don't.
You don't want to talk about all the pitchers cards?
Well, I had to fill. This was the first weekday I had to fill in for Cheese on the article, and I'm like, he must have planned this like days in advance. Planning out, charting the pitchers. And my God, it was the most brutal slate to try to write up today. But
I read your article and I was trying who does
I don't like anybody. That's the conclusion. There you go.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We basically said the last guy standing. Who's the one you can poke the least amount of holes in? So okay, I guess we're playing this pitcher. But hey, if the people want to know who Spidey, TJ, maybe Roth has a pitcher take tonight. Sure, why not? Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise as well. That's why it's the start of the Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time. Roth, take it over. We're going to step aside and get out of here. Go Panthers. Go Heat. Suck at Lightning.
Good stuff as always from my arch nemesis Dino as he closes out there. Welcome to it, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. It is Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel, joined as always by 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. STL Cards. Cards, how you doing, man? You're apparently rather bitter about the slate, but
I'm rather bitter about the slate. Steve, our producer's a Mets fan. They've already beaten the Cardinals today because they have that sham doubleheader as a result of the postponement yesterday.
Yeah.
That stuck in my craw last night, and then they had to make that game up this afternoon, and the Cardinals got beat. So, it hasn't been the best of days. So we got to turn it around somehow. This is an ugly slate, but I guess it looks a little better if you win money at the end of the night. So.
Okay, we can turn it around. We got TJ helping to turn it around with some superhero power there. TJ, first off, I love the new article that you're writing. Like, I enjoy it's. I don't mean this as an insult, but it's adorable. Like, I can tell you put a lot of effort into it, and I really like it.
I am an adorable person, so I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a fun one. We decided it's going to be coming every Tuesday and Friday. Agents of Fantasy, give my top tournament pitchers, top stacks of the day. It's a fun one. It's a lot of fun, and we got 255 people watching today. So first Spidey Bomb comes at 75 likes. Second one comes at 100.
Okay, so hit that like and subscribe button. But if you get the likes, you get the Spidey Bombs. And the Spidey Bombs, that's guaranteed. If the Spidey proclaims the home run, it happens. Do want to note that if you check out the FanDuel 125K Tuesday MLB Rally Contest, it's $25K to first. It's $7.77 to enter. You can also sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. New users get a risk-free bet up to $1K, and you can take advantage of that with your very first time bet. So go ahead and make sure you are signed up for that. We also have some freebies going on because that's how we roll nowadays. For those dabbling in NBA, you can check out the NBA Showdown tool and the single game simulations data. It's free to everybody today. Go to Rotogrinders.com. There's a little NBA tab. Scroll down, find it. It's free. Check it out. We got the best tools in the industry, and that's not even debatable. Like, everyone who works for the competition says Rotogrinders has the best tools in the industry. There's no arguing it. And I think we've got the best people in the industry as well. So let's hear from them. Cards, what are we doing on this site? There's no weather to worry about, so I'm going to skip that whole section.
Yeah, I mean, I spent 4 hours writing it this morning, and I still didn't really come away with a conclusion.
It's terrible.
It's a tricky slate, and it's mainly tricky because there are no pitchers with upside on the slate, or those that generally have upside have tough matchups and or some sort of limitations. I have the screen share going right now, and you can see Here are the strikeout props for the pitchers tonight. 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5.5 with significant plus juice. It's basically 4.5, 4.5, 2.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, and a 3.5 at the bottom. So
that's
basically,
amazing. That's incredible.
I've never seen anything like this.
That's wild.
If you take Uvalde with that juice, it's very similar to the other 4.5s. There's not a single pitcher with a strikeout prop above 5 on the slate. And so there's no ceiling with any of these guys. I mean, the guys that you would consider good pitchers, Logan Gilbert's a really good pitcher, but he has to face Toronto. Uvalde's a good pitcher, but he has to face Houston. And then you've got like the secondary tier of pitchers with no strikeout potential are the ones that have the better matchups. And then Dylan Bundy, if you put all the numbers together and just looked at potential upside, Dylan Bundy is the one guy that you would come out and say maybe has some upside, but he's missed 2 weeks because he had COVID and they said he's going to be on a pitch count. So the one guy that you think, hey, maybe this guy's a cheap guy with some upside is going to be on a pitch count. So it's one of the rare slates. Like I've got a pitcher sorted on Fanduel now by projected ownership, and there is nobody above 20%. And that's because there is no consensus on the best guy to play. There's a lot of good bats tonight, obviously, for the same reason why there's not a lot of good pitching. So to me, it makes sense to maybe go cheap at pitcher, because even with the expensive guys, we showed you the strikeout props, I just don't think there's a big ceiling with a lot of them. Yeah. And the chalky guys, there's probably not a huge ceiling. So maybe you're fading the chalk in GPPs. Like you're probably landing on Tyon in cash games because he's safe. He's got decent numbers and he's facing Baltimore. But he's got a below average strikeout rate. So I'm not really that excited about playing him as chalk in tournaments. Maybe you go a little cheaper in GPPs and or you'd pay up to be contrarian for a Gilbert or something. But there isn't anything any of us are going to be able to say that are just going to make this magical, 50-point upside on FanDuel pitcher come out of the woodwork today. I stared at it for long enough. It's just not there. So don't be afraid to be a little different tonight. Don't be afraid to go cheap, because I really don't think the opportunity cost is all that high. I don't think you're going to have anybody going out there striking out 14 guys on this slate.
Well, let's talk about your favorite cheapies, because it does seem like a scenario where if it's all spread out, good, because I trust my experts to come with the best of the mediocreness. And 2, this reminds me of like a Derek Carty situation where there's no good pay-ups. He always just says, if I'm going to get someone crappy, I might as well pay down. Is that how you're feeling kind of?
Yeah. I mean, the gap on FanDuel in our fantasy point projections, the gap between the top 8 pitchers is 5 points, and it's like 3 points on DraftKings. So that's how thin the margins are tonight. I think Berrios probably projects the best. He's had a terrible start to the year, but he does have a little bit more of a track record. So I think if you're looking for a safe value, it's probably him. If you're looking to be a little more frisky, I don't mind Brubaker against the Cubs. He walks a lot of guys, but he also, he can get some strikeouts when his command is working, and the Cubs aren't, that good of an offense. The Pirates starter didn't make it out of the first inning last night, so they could use some innings out of him. So Berrios and Brubaker are the guys for me. And I don't think it's crazy to consider Alex Cobb in Coors Field. If this game was being played in San Francisco, Alex Cobb would be the chalk pitcher tonight. And I know TJ put him in his article, so I'll let him talk about Cobb, but I don't think that's crazy. I mean, he's got the highest strikeout rate on the slate, with the only problem being that he's pitching in Coors, and the last 4 games in Coors have all been traditional, Coors Field shootouts again. So we do have a high total in that game. But if the game was in San Francisco at 7,100 on FanDuel, Cobb would be chalk. Instead, he's going to be 1% owned. So I do think that he is at least an interesting discussion tonight, simply because the pitching stinks.
Okay. Fair enough. TJ, let's talk about some of your favorite plays here, specifically as it relates to GPPs. I think my guy Berrios was one of the ones that you mentioned in your article as one of your superheroes of the day.
Yeah, he was. And so I'm definitely going to touch on that. I do want to ask Cards one question before I dive in, because this is something that I've been landing on quite a bit, struggling with on FanDuel. And so I assume a lot of other people are as well. But if you are making a Yankee stack, who is your preference between Joey Gallo and Gleyber Torres? They're different positions, but they're 2,600 and 2,700. At the utility position, I'm finding there are a lot of guys who I just end up with one of those two. I got my Rizzo, I got my Stanton, I got my Judge, and I'm left with Gallo or Torres. Who do you like the best between the two of those?
I think it's Gallo tonight. I think if there's one matchup where we can at least count on him to maybe hit the ball, tonight is the night. And when he does get a hold of them, they do tend to go a long way. It's just a matter of him getting a hold of them. So I do like Gallo tonight.
All right. Gallo's the guy. Okay. So yeah, diving into pitchers for tournaments, my favorite plays, starting with FanDuel, it kind of goes from cheapest to most expensive, who I like the best. I like James Caprellian. Oh, I got it right last time. James Kaprielian. There it is. He's my favorite pitcher of the day on FanDuel. He's 6,400. It's kind of like exactly like you guys said. If I'm gonna not be happy with my pitcher, well, it might as well be a cheap one. And so this is a young guy who's shown a ton of strikeout upside before. He's my favorite of the day. Second to him is Berrios, 7,200 on FanDuel. Just way too cheap. He's looked bad to start the year. But aside from last game, he's begun to look a little bit better, and he's had one of the toughest schedules to start the year that you could possibly have. It's just consistently Yankees, Houston, Boston. Like it's not like he's going against easy teams. And this Seattle team is probably the highest strikeout upside or highest strikeout matchup he's had all season. So he has to get through Winker. He has to get through Suarez, but there's a ton of strikeouts at the bottom half of that lineup as well. Third favorite is probably Cobb, just because I like that mid-tier range. I like paying up for my hitters, but he's still dangerous. Obviously, it's Coors Field. And so they talked about this a bit on the last show. He's a big sinker ball pitcher, and typically those type of pitchers are the kind that get rocked in Coors Field. So that's definitely a GPP only, if you're feeling risky type of thing. You have a chalky lineup and you want a non-chalky pitcher. But then next up on the list for me, it's between Jameson Taillon and Nathan Eovaldi. I like Taillon a little bit better between the two of them. If I'm choosing one of the two, it's Taillon, just because it's a ridiculously better matchup. He doesn't have quite the same leash. Eovaldi's probably going to pitch 15, 20 more pitches, but I like Taillon a little bit better. And then Gilbert would probably be my fifth guy on the list.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about some of the bats here. And TJ, I'll let you go first. Let's just talk stacks in general. Is there chalk? What do you like off of the chalk?
So the big chalk is the New York Yankees and the San Francisco Giants. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's right. If you are going to play those guys, I think you need to find other ways to get a little bit different if you can. But I think those are definitely the top two offenses there. If I'm targeting other teams today, I want teams that can match that type of upside. I don't think it's going to be, you're not going to avoid the top teams on the slate today and basically go, yeah, I think they're going to fail, so somebody with 5 or 6 runs is going to win it for me. You need a team that can match the type of upside that the Coors Field has, that the Yankees have. So the guys that I like, my favorite tournament stack probably is the Angels. It's tough to get to them, but that's one of the reasons I like getting to Kaprielian is Taylor Ward, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. They're all super expensive. And then you can top it off with Anthony Rendon there. Next up, I like Colorado. I like Boston. I like Houston. And then if I'm trying to get quite sneaky, the team that I like the best for tournaments that I don't think is getting played near enough is Milwaukee. And then I don't mind sprinkling in a little bit of Toronto as well.
Okay. Makes sense. Cards.
And sorry, as a cheap stack, if you are paying up at pitcher and you do need cheap guys, my favorite one for tournament is probably Texas.
Okay. TJ, how are we doing on those likes for our Spidey bomb?
What do we got here? I see 71 right now, so we are very close to our first one.
Okay. Keep the likes coming. If you're watching on YouTube, free content, thanks to our sponsor FanDuel, and getting some free home run picks coming up in a little bit as well. Cards, let's talk about some stacks. What are your faves?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees are number one for me over the Giants because there's risk with the Giants. We know that they play games with pinch hitting and for their outfielders and stuff, and this was a topic of conversation in our projections group last night. Tommy La Stella came back last night. He got one at bat because the Rockies starting pitcher got hurt. They brought in a lefty out of the bullpen, and then the parade of right-handed hitters came, pinch hitting for La Stella, pinch hitting for Jock Peterson, and pinch hitting for one of their other left-handed bats. Now it escapes me who else. La Stella got pinch hit for, Peterson got pinch hit for, and anyway, it's beside the point. So 3 guys got pinch hit for. Oh, Wade got pinch hit for last night. He's not in the lineup tonight. So now you've got La Stella leading off tonight, but again, doesn't change the risk of him possibly coming out if a left-handed reliever comes in. There's just some risk. The one guy that they have not shown a propensity to hit for is Yastrzemski lately. He hit the game-winning home run last night. So if you're looking for those left-handed Giants outfielders, I think Yastrzemski and Belt at first base and then Crawford at short. Those are probably the ones that they won't pinch hit for. La Stella and Peterson have a little bit more pinch hit risk if you're trying to navigate the Giants lineup there. But the Yankees match up so well with Watkins, who's just a gas can. He walks as many guys as he strikes out. He allows a lot of hard contact, and it's those power bats for the Yankees. So I am in agreement. I think Milwaukee is a sneaky group tonight. And then any one of the 4 teams that are available on DraftKings, which is including the four teams that are playing doubleheaders, they're all facing pretty bad pitchers. The White Sox, the Royals, the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks. They're not going to get a ton of ownership because the lineups are coming out late and the games are only available on DraftKings. So a team like the White Sox or the Dodgers, I think, definitely in play on DraftKings if you're playing over there tonight.
All right, Card.
I agree there. I agree completely there. The White Sox and Dodgers are my favorite of that group. And then the one thing I want to touch on is just I think the reason why I personally like the Giants a bit more than the Yankees today is just because that lineup that we have, I feel like there's a lot less pinch hit risk than usual. Now, I'm not playing Tommy La Stella, but when you have Belt hitting second, Flores hitting third against a righty already, and then Yastrzemski hitting fifth, I feel like that limits the pinch hit risk a little bit. And the only one in the high upside guy in a stack that you are kind of worried about is Jock Peterson. But if you are scared of that one, you can just go to Darren Ruff, who's hitting sixth, and you're not really worried about him getting pinch hit for because he's already a righty facing a righty.
Okay. All right. Let's go position by position, guys. Card, you can lead things off. Start at a little catcher spot here.
Yeah, not a spot where you're probably playing anybody on FanDuel tonight because you don't need to. Contreras is my favorite. I don't mind Brubaker as an option tonight, but Contreras at a relatively weak position. He's my top option on DK. Hit a grand slam last night. Outside of that, I mean, you can certainly punt if you want, and I can probably take the screen share over to DraftKings for a second just to show the ownership at the catcher position. There we go. So if you're playing on DK, see Contreras is 5,100. He's going to be one of the chalky options. You can punt with a Huff or a Wallach. Those are the guys that are getting a little steam. I don't mind Grandal at 3,800. Again, that game's only on DK. You can play one of the Coors catchers if you want to, but Contreras, Grandal, and then 2 basically min salary punts would be the guys I would consider.
All right. TJ, catcher.
Yeah, I agree. So Grandal is probably my favorite option. And then if I'm going down, it's the best hitter in the world, Kurt Casale, who just hit dinger after dinger yesterday. So I think those are the 2 you're going to. It's either Grandal or Casale. My third option would be Contreras. And I agree with you. You're not playing any. I mean, if you want a one-off there, I think your other option can maybe be Gary Sanchez, but that's not. I don't love that. And I agree. You're not playing one on FanDuel.
Okay. Take us to first, TJ.
So at first base, you have 3 fantastic pay-up options: Brandon Belt, Anthony Rizzo, CJ Cron. Those 3, especially Belt, are going to be the ones picking up the most rostership, and it's deserved. All 3 of them are fantastic. From there, if you play anybody else, they're not going to be very highly played. And the 2 that I would like to get to the most would be Matt Olson, playing Hauser for the Braves, as well as Vladimir Guerrero. 2 of these guys that can match the upside of Belt and Rizzo and Cron. No, they don't have as good of matchups, but they're arguably the 2 top hitters of that entire group. So those are the guys I'd go to outside of the big 3. But having said that, the like the opportunity cost is high at first base today. So I wouldn't really be wanting to punt at that position. The other guy I wouldn't mind would be Rowdy Tellez. But like I said, this is a pay up spot for me.
Okay. Cards.
Yeah, it is a pay up spot for sure. Belt and Rizzo, my two favorites. I'm a little lower on Colorado than most tonight, simply because I respect Cobb quite a bit. So I won't be as high on a lot of the Rockies guys, but Belt and Rizzo at the top. I do think Vogelbach is an interesting tournament option. Strong numbers against righties this year. And the Cubs have Keegan Thompson going tonight, who's not very good. Vogelbach projects as a top. Like if I sort our first base projections by point per dollar, he's fourth on the list there. So he would be my other option in addition to the top guys, but Belt and Rizzo far and away the top two for me.
Okay. Second base.
All right. Second base is a pretty weak spot tonight. So you're probably looking to go a little cheap here. Again, we talk about Marcus Semien almost every night. The numbers, the batted ball data, very concerning. He has looked at least a little better the last few games, still hitting second, still 2,500 on FanDuel against Detmers. Detmers coming off a no-hitter, obviously a bit of a fluke. He only struck out two guys. So Semien at 2,500 on FanDuel, La Stella at 2,700 if you're stomaching the pinch hit risk. McMahon at 3,400, probably the one Colorado guy I don't mind tonight. But second base is pretty weak. So you're going to see people go into Torres as well, like we talked about with the Yankee stacks, but probably a spot where in most of my lineups, you will see me getting somebody under 3K on FanDuel.
TJ, Ponton?
Yeah, great spot. So I agree. My favorite guy there of everyone is Gleyber Torres. Marcus Semien, I agree. He's starting to finally hit the ball a little bit better. And I think Texas is going to have a pretty big game against Detmers after he got stretched out a little extra in his no-hitter there. You can also go all the way down to Eli White, Josh Van Meter, min price guys. But yeah, it is a bit of a punt position. Ryan McMahon is my favorite one up top, as well as Wilmer Flores in my San Francisco stacks. And an interesting one-off or as part of a stack I think you can look for as well is Jose Altuve.
Okay, third base, TJ.
Yeah, so no, I'm going to wait till I'm actually at the position. Third base, one of my favorite tournament plays of the day is Taylor Ward. He's 4,600 on FanDuel. Nobody's going to play him because he is super expensive. And it's who the heck is Taylor Ward? But this is somebody who's been absolutely smashing the ball this year alongside Trout and Ohtani. So that's why the Angels are my favorite tournament stack today, because I don't think a lot of people are going to want to pay for all three of them. The other Angel I like is Anthony Rendon. Then, of course, you can go to your Yankees, Josh Donaldson, Ryan McMahon, you can play here as well. Wilmer Flores, you can play here as well. But this, to me, is another pay-up spot. And the last guy I'm looking to pay up for there is Rafael Devers.
Excellent. Cards, third base.
Yeah, Devers definitely a strong option. Agree with the thoughts on the Angels guys. They're probably that top-end offense that's going to be fourth on the list behind Coors and the Yankees in terms of stacks. So there's definitely upside there. Kind of a contrarian team to spend on. Otherwise, I do like Donaldson, fairly affordable at 3.1K on FanDuel if you're looking to go with the Yankees. So Devers is always a strong play. Not stacking Boston tonight, but he's fine at third if you have the money. And I do agree that it's definitely a spend up spot for me as well.
All right, take us to short cards.
All right, shortstop. Even though he's hitting seventh, I'm fine playing Crawford. If you're not playing Semien or Torres at second, you can play them here. Fine with that. We've got a ton of ownership on Jorge Polanco. I think that's maybe a bit too much steam against a decent pitcher, especially since he's 3,300 on FanDuel. I'll get the guy in Coors or somebody like Bo Bichette or Corey Seager if I've got 3,300 on FanDuel. So not as high on Polanco tonight, but fine playing Crawford here. Bichette, Seager, a couple of tournament pivots at the same price tag as well.
TJ, short.
Yeah, so this is really a spot that I'm just filling up stacks for me. If I want to go low and punt, it's Torres or Semien, same as second base. But if I've already played them there, this is really guys I'm trying to fill up my stack with. So Corey Seager, Brandon Crawford, Tyro Estrada, Xander Bogaerts. I don't mind Bichette as a one-off, but the sneakier one that I like the best today that I'm playing in one of my other favorite tournament stack is Luis Arias. He's someone you can play second, third, short, and he's somebody I'm also getting to quite a bit today.
Okay, let's go to the outfield, and I have a sneaking suspicion a Spidey bomb is about to get dropped in the outfield.
Spidey Bomb is about to get dropped. And if we get to 100 likes, which is only 17 away, it's less than half of the people watching, so we should be able to get there. We're going to get a second Spidey Bomb at the outfield position. So because it's a big slate, I didn't want to go too obvious today and pick somebody high owned. Now you're going to hear the name and go, well, this seems pretty darn obvious because I know you like this guy. But he's not picking up the rostership today. He's
I know who it is already.
Be sub 10%. Sub 15%. Roth, who's our Spidey Bomb today?
It's Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani.
Let's go.
This guy in not as many at bats. He's hit lefties better than he's hit righties in his career. And Taylor Hearn's actually shown a little bit of reverse splits as well. So I love the Angels. I love me some Trout. I love me some Taylor Ward. I love me some Rendon, but Shohei Ohtani is my favorite of the bunch because he's being played half as often as Mike Trout is today. And so I'm kind of hoping I can look back. Ooh, 91, 9 away. So hopefully we'll get the second one by the time I'm done outfield. But Shohei Ohtani, I love up there. Your top outfield play objectively, your first one in cash games is Aaron Judge. If you need to go up top with your Yankee, it's Aaron Judge. If you need to go down low, it's Joey Gallo. But all of the Yankees are in phenomenal spots. The Yankees and the Angels and the Giants, most teams, like if you only play outfielders from those three teams, there's still a very good chance you're getting a great lineup today. Other options, if you want to go cheap, Eli White, I'd rather him at second. Tyrone Taylor in your Milwaukee stacks. Jesse Winker, I think, is a very interesting one-off, getting some leverage against Jose Barrios. He's finally starting to hit the ball better. Only 2,600. He's 3,100 on DK as well. And another cheap guy that won't be getting played very often is Teoscar Hernandez, and I like him quite a bit as well. 97, 3 away. I trust the people are going to get it. The low-owned, very low. Nobody's going to be playing this guy today. And I brought up liking the stack, somebody that I like getting to quite a bit. And Spidey told me that he's going to be getting a home run and he thinks it's going to be in his first at bat. Okay. And that is Hunter Renfroe.
Oh, very nice. I am a big fan of the Hunter Renfroe, so I like that call. Okay.
I only pick people you like, Roth. I only pick people
I noticed that. I approve. Cards, let's run through the outfield real quick, and then we've only got maybe 5 minutes or so for QQs.
Yeah, strange to see Taylor Ward as the most expensive hitter on FanDuel. I know he's been great, but should be a rule that you can't be priced higher than Mike Trout. I don't know. Seems weird. But in any case, yeah, nobody's playing him on FanDuel because of that salary. But I think, especially if you're just trying to go optimal here, you got to play Judge. You probably playing Yastrzemski. Peterson, with the pinch hit risk, I'd rather play Yastrzemski for 100 less. Because they haven't really shown the desire to pinch hit for him. So then from there, you can get your favorite kind of cheaper guy. Gallo, who we've mentioned a few times, I think is fine tonight because he's facing a pitcher that pitches to contact and isn't very good. So one of the rare nights where I'd be comfortable playing Gallo as a cheap play in any format. Like the Renfroe call, Yelich is another guy that lefty on lefty. I mean, Davidson has not been good in the MLB sample that he's had. So don't mind Yelich tonight. Maybe Rafael Ortega if you're looking for a punt leading off for the Cubs. Yeah, that's most of them. I think we've hit on enough outfielders there. So.
Okay, let's go with the one question that I'm trying to work in every time I've been forgetting. If you're only playing one stack, let's say you're doing like single entry cards, and you're only doing like this is your stack to win a single entry. What's your stack?
It's probably the Yankees with some contrarian bats around it. Obviously, the Yankees as a whole are going to be popular, but four Yankees could easily hit home runs tonight. If you happen to pick the four that do, you're huge ahead of the field. So particularly if Coors doesn't go off, this is the one night I felt okay of the last few where I don't think you need to play Coors just to block others.
Okay, TJ, if you're playing one stack to win a single entry, what's your stack?
Angels.
Okay, very nice.
Giants are my favorites. They're going to be more played than the Angels are, though. So my favorite to win a tournament is the Angels.
Gotcha. Okay, let's get into these QQs here. We'll scroll up a little bit. DKGPP from Amateur Hour, Simeon v. Torres. TJ.
That's a very tough one. I think it's Torres for me by a little bit.
Great. Alex says, hey, Card, since there are no pitchers with any real upside, isn't playing a chalky pitcher just ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, in a GPP, it is tonight. So Tyon is expensive, and he's the most popular. I tagged him because I think he's the safest play, and I ranked him number one just because I think he's the safest guy. But I also don't think a Baltimore stack is nuts. There's big leverage if they happen to go off, or at least if Tyon doesn't pitch very well. So, yes, it's definitely not mandatory to play any one pitcher tonight.
Okay. Following up on that, TJ, DKGPP, Tyon versus Anderson versus Berrios. And yes, I know it's not how you pronounce it. It's more fun for me.
If you have the salary, I would just go Tyon, then Anderson, then Berrios. But on DK, I actually do think it is kind of interesting going to Tyler Anderson as a contrarian option. I don't love the play, but it's just based on we don't have any strong plays of pitchers, and he's not getting played very often.
Okay. Dan Jan says Dylan Bundy couldn't pitch to third graders. So with that being said, can we go over an Oakland stack tonight on DK?
Oakland can't hit third graders either. That offense is brutal.
Exactly. And it's in Oakland as well. Bad ballpark. And Bundy's probably not going to play very long due to his pitch count.
To be fair, Bundy's advanced numbers are actually pretty good. He got shelled by the Orioles in his last start before he got COVID, but his xERA and xFIP and stuff are in the threes. So Bundy's not as bad as the rap he gets from a lot of people, but in any case, you're not playing the A's tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Perfect says, any love for the Chicago pitcher? I don't know who that is, but do you have any love for him, TJ?
The Chicago pitcher.
Keegan Thompson.
I got no love for the Chicago pitcher.
Okay. Cards, any love?
No.
All right. How are we feeling about a Seattle stack, Cards, in a DK single entry?
Probably not getting there tonight against Berrios. Again, I know Berrios has been bad, but I don't know. I still respect him enough. I don't think it's the worst play. If you got some conviction behind it, it's okay. I'd play Seattle before I played Oakland or, the Cubs or some of those teams tonight. So don't let me talk you off of it if you're on it and you like it. There's decent logic behind it.
Okay, I like that answer, Cards. John Tom, Fanduel GPP, TJ, stop talking to Spider-Man. Playing San Francisco and the Angels, should I go Rendon or La Stella to complete the four-man?
Rendon.
All right. Aside, Cards, playing a Giants-Yankees 4-4 stack, would you rather La Stella and Rizzo or DJ and Wilmer Southpaw Slayer Flores?
I'd probably go with the first one and eat the risk with La Stella.
Okay. NBA DFS, FanDuel Cash, Flores or LeMahieu? TJ?
Flores.
Bates, FanDuel Cash, Kike and Rizzo or Gallo and McMahon, Cards?
Second one.
Holden, DraftKings question for you. It doesn't say what format. Got less than a minute until lock. Rizzo, Donaldson or Belt Rendon? I've already got two Angels and Judge, TJ.
Second one.
Okay, excellent. I just kind of assumed lock was at 5 after. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. FanDuel GPP, Big Field FanDuel GPP, Cards. Is a Toronto stack viable? Seems like Gilbert can have some issues versus righties.
Yeah, Toronto's offense has some upside. I put this in the article today as well. It's not crazy to stack a good offense that's facing a good pitcher tonight. Atlanta's not going to be that highly owned. Houston's not going to be that highly owned. Toronto's not going to be that highly owned. And these are offenses that can go off, but because they're facing good pitchers, everyone's playing the Yankees, everyone's playing the Coors Field game. So, you can definitely stack those good offenses tonight.
Okay, great. If you got any more QQs, get them in. We have just hit the lock.
So now that we've hit lock, there actually is something I want to touch on is I'm liking the Giants stack more and more as I talk myself into them just because of I don't think there's going to be that big of a pinch hit risk today. Their top lefty had a season high for pitches just yesterday, and so he's not going to be pitching today. But in addition, you have Flores batting third today. and you have Listella batting first. And so I already don't like Listella. I do think there's pinch hit risk for him, but I kind of picture them putting in a lefty prior to Belt and Listella. But when they get up to Flores, I could see, as long as the pitcher's been in there long enough, them already wanting to switch, or them looking at, we got Flores there. Maybe I'm not going to put the left-hander in just for that sake anyways. Because of that, when you have Peterson batting fourth, who is a phenomenal home run hitter against righties, I think him being right after a hitter who is very good against lefties, I think that minimizes his pinch hit risk a little bit.
That was the deepest dive I've ever heard. That was really getting into it, man. That's good stuff right there.
Thank you.
Wow. I mean, these are thoughts that I don't think cross the minds of 99.999% of players. Cards, is that,
at the end of the day, maybe you don't want your brain to be moving that fast.
Well, that's the question.
ADHD in me a little bit.
Are you digging too deep into one variable and overthinking it?
I mean, it's not really overthinking it, because it's the Giants and it's just the way they operate. So you do have to consider that. But with Ruff in the starting lineup today, and a couple weeks ago when they had all their injuries and Brandon Belt had COVID and all that stuff, and you had all these righties starting even against right-handed pitching, we didn't talk about this as much. But now that they're healthy and they've gotten, Belt is back and Longoria's come back, and they've got all their moving parts in there again, it just becomes necessary to break it down a little bit. So I do agree, given the construction of their lineup, there is a little bit less risk than there would be, a lot of nights. Now, they still do have Slater on the bench, and I do think that if Peterson, I think Peterson is the biggest risk to come out. But if you like the Giants and you were worried about them because of that risk, it is fair to say that it's probably a little less than it was last night, not the least of which reasons is because Colorado's starter did get hurt last night, and they did have to bring the lefty in, and he pitched a couple innings, as TJ mentioned. So yeah, that's a fair assessment, and I think it does help make the Giants a little more secure.
You guys are smart. I like it. You guys are good. I'll take a few more questions. We'll get out of here. Jay Sam says, TJ, it's not ideal, but is Duffy viable? FanDuel GPP. Is Duffy viable in an Angel stack? I only did it because it makes everything else work.
What site was it?
FanDuel GPP.
Play Rengifo instead if it's at second base.
Okay, great. Dan Jam, Boston stack, DK single entry. Let's say he can't play Rengifo for whatever reason.
Then it's not ideal. I think he's got some pinch hit risk. They could go Jared Walsh in there if they go up against a righty. But I'd try and get something else. But if you just love it, then I'm okay with it.
Okay. Cards, Boston stack, DK single entry. I feel like you just said you can play a good team against.
Yeah, and Dan's needling me a little bit, because when I was on last week, you may remember, I went on this rant about how much Boston is overrated, and I didn't like them, and they were facing a good pitcher, and Boston is way down my list and all this stuff. And then the second inning, they hit a grand slam and scored 6 runs. And thankfully they didn't do much the rest of the game. So it's not like the Boston stack went nuts that night, but Dan tweeted at me later and reminded me. And so we had a nice little banter about it. But anyway, I presume that's why he's asking.
He did. Yeah, he just say he remembered. I'm not even.
I remember, but no, the logic I think is fine behind those teams that are facing the good pitchers that are only going to be 2 to 5% owned. Like, will anybody be surprised at the end of the night if we're saying, "Oh man, I can't believe nobody played Houston," or "I can't believe nobody played Boston," or Toronto, or all those teams that nobody's playing tonight? So in order for that to work, you kind of need like the Yankees and the Giants to not go nuts. Mm-hmm. If that happens and then your low owned stat goes off, that could be what wins tonight.
Okay, great. DY says DKGPP. TJ, would it be crazy to have 2 contrarian pitchers, a contrarian stack like the Orioles, and a couple of power bats? Is that getting too contrarian?
I guess it depends who your pitchers are. The Orioles aren't near my top contrarian stack, so I kind of need more information for that one.
Okay, fair enough. Jay says, is there a significant difference in the offenses with the roof being open versus being closed? He didn't say what
I would guess it's got to be either Milwaukee or Texas. I'm guessing that's probably a
Toronto.
Texas.
It's open.
Yeah.
I
They
think
opened it in Toronto today, but
I mean, in the new park in Texas has seen a little more offense when they've had it open, but I did not look to see if that is open today.
It's closed in Texas today, and the offense does do better when it's open in general. Let's see. We got 2 questions, and then we're out of here. FanDuel Cash from Aside Cards: LaStella Crawford or Flores and Simeon?
Man, that's close. I'd probably take the second one, mainly because LaStella worries me a little bit.
Okay. Jay says, if you're mini stacking the Angels, who should I leave off between Ward and Trout? TJ, it's DK single entry. Mini stacking the Orioles, Ward or Trout has to get cut.
It's Ward.
Yeah.
But if the rest of your lineup is super chalky, then you could look at maybe cutting Trout instead. But the answer is definitely Ward.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. And I'm just realizing with the roof closed, he was talking about Texas. Which is probably going to be closed for the remainder of the year now, because like today it's 95 and they're closing it, and it's not getting any colder for the next 4 months. So it's going to be closed forever now in Texas. That's just kind of how it goes. Okay. With that, we are going to get out of here. We gave all the info. We answered all the questions, gave you some Spidey bombs as well. So for Cards, for TJ, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. 2 shows, I do believe, tomorrow. You have been crunched.